Hi, this is Mike Sterling with Mastermind Agent, and I'm super excited to talk to you today at this webinar, the 10-step top agent listing presentation. You're in the right place if you're here for the presentation. It's about to happen in about 4 minutes. A couple little pieces that might help out. Let's go ahead. This is a live webinar, by the way, so I may make a couple errors as we go along. I hope you'll bear with me. First thing I'd like you to do, though, is if you'd like to participate in the chat, which is basically how we do the questions, and we'll do the questions at the end, go ahead and go down or across, depending on how you're looking at your screen. There's going to be an orange box that says question and comments. Go ahead, just to get started, type in the name of your city in the box at the bottom. That's where you enter your information. And then another little box is going to pop up here, and don't worry about number 1 or number 3. Go to number 2 where it says with the temporary name and enter your name there and press go. And then you'll be in the chat and you can ask questions as we go along, as well as the Q&A at the end. So go ahead and tell me what your city name is, where you're from, and then put your name in here with temporary name and then press go, and that'll pop up in our screen. So for instance, I see Riverside, California, Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, Omaha, Nebraska, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. By the way, that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, folks. So go ahead again. If we got a couple more minutes here, waiting for a few more people to get in, but this is how we're going to start up so that you can be part of the communication in the chat. Oh, wow, I just saw Honolulu. That's pretty awesome. Again, go ahead and type in your city name there at the bottom. Then when that little screen pops open, if you're just coming in, go ahead and on number 2, type in your name, press go, and that'll put you into that chat box. That way you don't have to sign in with a Chat Tango membership or Facebook or anything else. But it'll be live, and we'll be rocking through that. So I see Kansas City, Omaha, Greenville, South Carolina. I think that's Forestville, Missouri. I hope I got that right. We've got San Diego, Greenville, Charlotte, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Spent some time there as a kid. That's a beautiful place. Beacon, North Carolina, New York, Los Angeles. Hey, welcome there, William. Good to see you. Modesto, California, Detroit, Michigan. Boy, this is great. We're going to have a wonderful, wonderful webinar here. So again, we'll be starting up in about a minute or so. And the webinar is the 10-step top agent listing presentation, how top agents attract, qualify, present, and sign motivated sellers, and you can too. Okay, so here we go. Again, go ahead and enter your city, and that's how you'll get into this chat, and I can communicate with you. By the way, I hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm assuming that everybody can. But go ahead and enter your city name if you're just joining us. Press enter, and that brings up this second screen where you can put in your name. Just go ahead and only enter it here in number 2 and press go. That way you don't have to worry about the rest of this. And that'll put you in the chat, and you can ask questions again as we go. Alex asked, is there a telephone number to dial into? You know, I'm just playing around with the system, and I don't think there is. So I apologize. Hopefully it's coming through on your computer. That's the only way I know how to do that at this point. So hopefully that'll work for you. But I'm assuming then that you can hear me. So if any, oh, good, loud and clear. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know you can hear. All right, I'm going to take a second here, about 30 seconds, get a quick drink of water, and then we're going to get started up. Okay. All right. So again, if you're here for the 10-step top agent listing presentation, you're in the right place. This is where you want to be. How top agents attract, qualify, present, and sign motivated sellers, and you can too. And if you're just joining us, this will be the last time I say this for the folks that have already been here, but if you're just joining us, what city are you in? Go ahead and enter this, and this will put you into the chat so that you can ask questions as we go along. And definitely at the end with our Q&A. So go down to the bottom of this orange box and type in your city, where you're from. Then when you press enter, a box will pop up and it'll ask you to log in. Don't worry about logging in. Just type in a temporary name, your name, and press go, and that'll get you into the chat for the rest of the session. Well, Renee, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. All right. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to start. Our time is up, and let's get this thing going. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent, and let's start the 10-step top agent listing presentation webinar. This is our training session here, and it's how top agents attract, qualify, present, and sign motivated sellers, and you can too. So let's jump in. And here we go. So this is a deep dive. It's going to be quick and to the point. Should be done in about 60 to 70 minutes. Only problem is I do talk a lot, so I'm not sure. I haven't gone through this presentation before. It may go longer, it may be shorter, I'm not sure, and I don't know about the questions at the end, so please bear with me, but this is my goal. There will not be any replays. I apologize. I'm not familiar with this technology at this point. I'm still learning it. Not sure if it's going to be recording or not. I don't think it will be, just because of my earlier test, but I apparently am able to get out there live. So please stay to the end. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the box as you think of them. You don't have to worry about waiting to the end. That's why we got that chat box. It'll kind of register your question, and I'll definitely be going through that at the end of the presentation. And by the way, you're in the right place. If you're a real estate agent who's tired of trading time for dollars and driving buyers all over town for days, weeks, even months, not knowing for sure when they will buy or even if they will buy. And by the way, you're probably wondering, geez, Mike, are you going to read this presentation? And my answer is, yeah, I need a cue card because I haven't gone through it before, and I want to make sure we get everything, all the information you need. So bear with me. It's really good information. Here we go. You're in the right place if you want to stop working evenings and weekends and spend that time with your family and friends while making even more money than before. That used to drive me crazy, working those evenings and weekends. You're ready to work with sellers who average 8 hours per transaction. So start to finish, a seller is going to take you about 8 hours. A buyer is averaging around 24 hours, which is 3 times as much time for the same amount of work and income. So working with sellers is going to save you 16 hours per transaction, which is basically 2 full days of work. And if you also can think about this, you're basically tripling your income by working with sellers. Now, if you're ready to attract and work with motivated sellers who want to sell their homes quickly and are happy to pay you a full commission, you're in the right place. And if you're tired of the real estate income roller coaster, which just drove me crazy, where you make a little money this month and then you're off for a month and then you make some money the next month. If you're ready to get off of that roller coaster, you want to master the listing process. That's going to even out your income. It's going to make a predictable, dependable income in your business. All right, so here's what you're going to learn today. We're going to talk about a very specific, proven 10-step process that the top agents use to attract, qualify, present, and sign motivated sellers who list their homes at sellable prices and full commission rates. And these people that we're going to be learning from are selling 100, 200, 300, 500, even 1,300 homes per year. I know those are crazy numbers, but it's the reason they're able to do that is they put things into a system and a process. And we're going to review what they're doing. We're going to dispel the 5 myths about why you can't list homes. Some agents get stuck in these, and let's just break them out. And we're also going to talk about how you can stop sabotaging your prospecting for seller leads. You may be sabotaging your prospecting and not even know it, and I'll show you how you can break that out. How top agents use a 10-minute listing presentation. How one of our top agents, some of them are very quick, but one of them in particular has a 10-minute listing presentation, and they're going to be listing and selling 1,300 homes this year. So why top agents use a simple marketing plan that you can duplicate, and I should also probably add the word cheap. You're going to be really surprised at how basic the marketing plans are. How to turn a seller no into a yes in 3 minutes. This is a really cool way to handle a stall or an objection at the end. And what to do to win against a discount broker. If you've ever gotten into a competition with a discount broker and the seller's trying to beat you up on your commission, this is a way that you can handle that. Why sellers always pick the highest commission rate with one of the top agents. He gives them three options, and the way he presents it, they always pick the highest one. Isn't that amazing? And we're going to talk about what he's doing there. How to never work a Sunday again. In fact, I'd prefer you never work a weekend or an evening, but I'll show you how top agents are doing that. I was able to accomplish this as well after years and years of doing it, and we'll go through how you can handle that. And then how top agents list 1, 2, 3, and even 4 homes per week, some actually even more, and how you can too. And again, it all comes down to modeling and using a system that works. Well, here's a free surprise. If you stay to the end, I know I'm going to be talking a lot, and if you can hang in there with me all the way to the end, I'm going to get you the seller lead sheet. This is a copy of the seller lead sheet, the seller intake form that I used to find out seller motivation and timing when I was going along and ramped up my business and took 21 listings in 30 days. So you're going to find out seller motivation and timing and also set the appointment. This is a great form to use. I'll hand this out to you at the end if you're able to hang in there with me to the end of the webinar. Okay, I'm going to just go back here. Just give me a second. I just want to make sure. So I had a question in there. Somebody was asking, is this live? Yes, this is live. This is today is March 2nd, 2017. It's about 11:08 a.m. Mountain Time, so you have to convert that to where you are. But yeah, this this is live. You're going to hear a lot of ums and ahs and mistakes, but I just want you to hopefully get the material that we're talking about, and hopefully it'll be a big advantage for you. All right, so if you haven't heard from me before, it looked like we had a lot of new people signing up. So who is Mike Cerrone and why should I listen to him? If you all just give me a second, I'll walk through my story. If you've already heard it, just please bear with me. But here we go. Oops, let's get on the right screen. And there we go. All right, so I've had 24 years with a real estate license, got licensed 24 years ago. An exciting industry and business. Glad I've been in it. And sorry, I just messed that up. Let's keep going. I started slow. That first year was pretty rough. In fact, my very first 6 months, I think I sold 5 homes. In the following 12 months, I sold 7 homes in that first full year. So my broker told me I was doing great. You know, the average agent was selling 4 homes a year, but I didn't feel like it. It wasn't working out too well for me. I did figure things out after a while on my own and kind of start ramping up. Got up to about 20 closings a year for 3 years in a row, and I kind of stalled out there. Couldn't figure out how to break through that. I was stuck in, I don't know about you, you might be this way too. I was a little bit hard-headed. I figured I should know how to do everything and figure it all out on my own and invent everything myself. And that was a pretty slow way to go. A lot of trial and a lot of error. Well, about 19 years ago, so I've been in the business for about 5 years, I heard about a 1-hour videotape of a top agent demonstrating his listing presentation. And I knew that focusing on listings would stabilize my income. I had taken some listings and I kind of understood the process, but I just didn't know how to make it work on a big scale or consistently. So I saw this videotape and I thought, man, I should get that thing. But I got a little nervous because it cost $500, which would be like over $1,000 today to get that tape. And I just stalled out. I froze. I wouldn't buy the thing. Every time that I started struggling on a listing appointment after that, I kept remembering that tape and thinking, geez, if I got that tape, would things be any better? So about 1 year later, after I'd heard about that tape, I finally broke down and I invested the money. I was really tough, but I figured out how to make it happen and put the money up. Now, this is when everything was sent by mail. This is old VCR tape, so it took a couple weeks to get it. When it came, I ripped that package open and I couldn't wait to watch it. Yeah, I got it at my office and I ran home that night and I slammed it into the VCR and started watching it over and over again. And my eyes were opened. It was just an amazing thing. I mean, it was only an hour long. I was only watching it. I didn't have any handouts or anything, but I just learned so much about what this top agent was doing. So the next day I went back to my office and I modified my listing presentation. And that night I had an appointment. So I used the new partially modified presentation and it was incredible. these, even though I was kind of flubbing my way through it because it was new, those folks signed up like instantly. It was, I can't explain how smooth it went and how dumb I felt for my old presentation and it wasn't working out. So you can learn a lot from the top agents. I went back and I spent a couple more hours watching and rewatching the video and tweaking my presentation. And, I just kept modeling that top agent. What was he doing? What was he saying? How was he presenting it? Was he smiling? Was he frowning? Were his arms up or down? What was he doing? And everything went up from there. As soon as I started copying, modeling what that guy was doing, that year I focused on listings and my production doubled. I went from 20 closings the year before to 41 closings that year. And I continued to master my listing presentation. And pretty soon I was listing 5 to 10 homes per month, which was pretty exciting. Prior to that, it was pretty spotty. I might take 1 or 2 listings a month and then none for a couple of months. And now I got up to 5 or 10 homes a month. And in fact, I worked my way up to my best month. I listed 21 homes in 30 days. And by the way, that was at 21 different kitchen tables. Okay, I want to make that clear. This wasn't an REO account or something, which by the way is awesome. It's just I was hammering it out one listing at a time with sellers at their kitchen tables. And so that's kind of the basis of this training. My production jumped the next year to 95 transactions. I basically doubled again, then went up to 113 closings in 1 year. I got real lucky. I was ranked in the top 300 agents in the nation by the National Association of Realtors magazine. I went to try to find that magazine. I swore I had it somewhere, but I couldn't find it. But I did find it online. And here was kind of a presentation of it. I made it in the top 300 salespeople, was ranked number 263, closed 113 transactions that year. So it was pretty exciting. So the only mistake that I think that I made was I waited a year to buy that stupid tape. I wish I would have bought it earlier and put things on track a lot faster. I literally made 1,000 times my investment back over the next few years on that one tape. Again, I just wish I wouldn't have lost that year. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Then I realized that this listing process, though, as I was learning it, as I had got that tape and I had implemented stuff, I realized that this stuff seemed transferable. If the top agent that I was watching on the tapes, if he could do it, and then if I could do it by watching him, well, then other people could do it watching me. And so it started to make sense to me that I should start leveraging my business a little bit. So I decided to hire a listing agent. And it was a pretty new concept at the time. All right. This was, I don't know how many years ago we're talking now, maybe 15 years ago or so. It was very, very new concept. And so I put out this advertisement for it and nobody wanted to do it. Nobody thought it would work. And luckily, I found one person who was interesting. I found one young man in his 20s. His name was Jamie. This guy had his license for 6 months. He'd only closed 2 buyers in the 6 months that he'd been working. He hadn't done any listings. He'd never even taken a listing. But he was friendly, and and nobody else applied. So he was the guy if I was going to make this work. So I didn't really know what I was doing. So I brought him in the first month and I trained him, but I only trained him like a couple hours a week. I don't know why he even stuck around, but when I had a couple minutes, I tried to talk to him here or there and he started to get restless. So I said, all right, tell you what, why don't you, in the second month, I said, why don't you go out on a couple of these solo listings? Just go ahead and try it on your own. You can take some of my reject leads, the leads that I don't think are going to work out, and see if you can do anything with them. If, worst case, you list them. Best case, you list them. Worst case, nothing happens and nothing was going to happen with them anyway. Well, amazingly, he started to list homes by just following this system that I had already created. And I hadn't even trained him that well. And over half the appointments were signing up. And this was in his second month. And by his third month on the job, he listed 14 homes in 30 days. It was incredible. I had him on a very low percentage split. And yet he was still earning over $10,000 a month that third month. And it just kind of kept going up from there. It was pretty incredible. But the point I want to make here is that he was able to learn this system really fast. So I modeled the top agent, then he modeled me. This information is transferable. So how did it work? It worked by modeling. Again, I modeled that top agent and Jamie modeled me. And all of us succeeded. So I think that you could model the top agents, model some of the things that I've been doing, some of the things that they've been doing, and you could get the similar results. So that's why I want to put this presentation together and get you some of those ideas. All right, so people want to know, okay, Michael, what happened the rest of your story? Well, I went on and I ended up building some real estate brokerages and mortgage brokerages and real estate investment companies, sold off part of those businesses. And, now I'm kind of semi-retired from real estate. Real estate is an incredible vehicle to get you where you want to go. So today I kind of like to go out and do what I learned early on, which is I like to interview top agents in the nation for success calls on the Mastermind Agent Network. And hopefully some of you are a part of that. And occasionally I host summits with top trainers and top agents. I put together these online virtual summits where these top folks come together, and they describe what they're doing and get that information out there. And I recently hosted the Listing Agent Summit, where 14 top agents demonstrated their listing presentations in detail and showed us their exact presentations, their scripts, and handouts. They actually let us download their listing presentations as well as their pre-listing packages and all the handouts that they have and they use during the process, checklist forms. It was pretty extraordinary. And so I'm going to use that information throughout this webinar. I'm going to just kind of scrape the surface, but I'm going to talk about some of those things. So now I'm going to share some of the findings from that summit. Now I'm going to get a quick drink of water. Okay, I'm back. Thanks. Thanks for waiting. All right, so who is at the summit? Just real quick, so you know, these aren't just folks that got their license a couple months ago. We had Eric Hatch, who sold 508 homes worth 108 million in 1 year. Chantel Ray, who is on track to sell 1,300 homes in 1 year. Brian Macker, who sold 235 homes worth 45 million in 1 year. Melinda Estridge, 120 homes worth 70 million in 1 year. Nate Martinez, 616 homes worth 68 million in 1 year. Had Patrick Tuttle. So Patrick is great because he's a S personality, if you know anything about the DISC personality. So he's a bit reserved, and yet he was still able to sell 80 homes in 1 year worth 15 million. And he also does property management. I think he has like just under 200 units that he manages. You got Paul Wheeler, sold 248 homes worth 35 million in 1 year. Judy Jackson is a lead listing partner for the Toral sales team, and she listed 7 homes in 7 days using some of these ideas that we're going to be talking about. And then Shane White, 212 homes worth 36 million in 1 year. Steve Cohen, who did 106 homes worth 26 million in 1 year. And we're almost to the end there. We got Ashar McCollum, 210 homes worth 35 million. Bob McTagg, who sold 210 homes worth 32 million. Well, we got Wayne Turner, 286 homes worth 51 million, and Denny Grimes, 400 homes worth 150 million. These people are heavyweights. They know what they're talking about, and we're really fortunate to have them on the summit. And again, this is the information that we're pulling for this webinar. Okay, so I saw what these folks were talking about at the summit, and I got pretty obsessed. I watched the 14 top agents demonstrate their presentations, and as I said, I got obsessed. I really love this kind of stuff. And so I dove right in and I started to watch the training sessions over and over. And I had a goal of looking for patterns. I wanted to see patterns of what they were doing to make these things work. And it was amazing details. They were all so open and just giving everything. At many of these sessions, I think the shortest one might have been 40 minutes and the longest one was 2 hours. I mean, they were just pouring it all out there. So I picked up stuff probably around the third viewing that I missed in the second, and I got stuff in the second I missed in the first. I had to just keep watching them because they were just putting out so much information. But I looked for these patterns so that we could put together a model. Each top agent was sharing so much. Again, I had a hard time finding it the first time, but I was looking for those patterns because I know if you mimic the best, that's when you're going to have great results. I actually ended up creating, I pulled the information out and I created a 39-page listing presentation template that was modeled after these common elements that the top agents use, because I figured that'd be valuable for someone where you could just go in and plug and play. You could just put in, your name, your address, your phone number, your email, your picture, and the template's there. You can use it as it is, or you can add a couple things that are unique to you or subtract things that you don't want to do. But everything is already there. You don't have to redesign it. Like when I got that tape from the top agent, I had to actually go write out the presentation. I didn't actually have the handouts or a template. But anyway, so that's what we did. And so now I want to walk through some of the lessons I learned as I went through that process. So a couple things to keep in mind, some of the biggest traps that agents fall into when they're presented with a training like this is, one, there's just too much material. Because I'm going to go through a lot of ideas pretty quickly. And by the way, I hope you're writing these down. I really hope you're writing them down because we're about to get into the meat of this thing. So make sure you have a pencil and paper. But there's too much material to get blind but overwhelmed. And if you get in that situation, just step back. Take some baby steps, focus on the things that really stand out to you, really look like they're a big idea that you want to get going right away, and just start with the first idea. And then maybe this whole session, you just pick up 2 or 3 ideas and just implement it into your business now. The other thing that you might get stuck in, though, is you've been around a while. I know I started to do this after I've been around a while, and you start to think you know everything. You get blindly overconfident. And by the way, you probably do know a lot of stuff. You probably have heard a lot of information. The question I have for you is, have you implemented all of it? That's what used to happen to me. I'd get all this great information and then it would sit on a shelf. I wouldn't do anything with it. So as we're going through here, look at a couple things that you could implement right into your business right away. So look for those subtle differences that make huge differences. That old saying that small hinges move big doors. All right. Well, let's walk through the 5 myths. So let's get them out of your head. If you're stuck with any of these 5, let's try to break them out first. All right. So the first myth is that listing homes costs a lot of money and that these agents have huge, big marketing budgets when they're selling homes. Well, most of the top agents actually do the same marketing to sell the home as the regular agents do. I'm not kidding you. So you're going to be shocked when you see what they're doing. They basically just explain it better. The average agent goes in and says, oh, this is what I do, and, kind of works. And the top agents go in and they give the details of exactly what they're doing and why it works. They give a better explanation. And so it makes them look better. And it looks like they're doing more, even though they're actually doing the same. Okay, so that's the first thing. Number 2 is, the next myth is only experienced agents can list homes. Okay. Well, I used to think that when I just first got started, and there are a lot of people out there that say that you can't list homes right away when you first get started or even a year or 2 in, but I don't buy that. I've seen it in my own experience. Again, my listing agent had only been in the business 6 months and only sold 2 buyers in that entire time, hadn't taken a single listing. And yet by his 3rd month with me, 9 months into the business, he listed 14 homes in 30 days. The next myth is my presentation has to be perfect and I have to memorize every single word. No, it doesn't. As I mentioned, when I first got my presentation back and made a couple modifications, it was still a little bit of a mess, but it worked great because I had a lot of core concepts and I never memorized the words. As you can see in this presentation right now, I'm having to use some cues as we go along. So your presentation does need the core elements. Okay, and that's something you can pick up and model from the top folks. But you don't need to talk it in every word. You need to put it in your words. You just need to understand the idea. If you understand the idea, it'll come out in your words when you're presenting it. All right, the next myth is taking listings is harder than showing buyers to a home. You know what? That's actually true. It is harder to take listings than to show buyers homes, because when you show buyers a home, it's a tangible item. And you can just point to the home and they can see it and walk through it and touch it and everything. Yet when you're trying to sell your service as a listing agent, it's intangible and nobody can touch it. You have to explain it and you have to give examples. And it does take a little bit more work and maybe a little more talent and skill, but these are things that you can learn. That's what I want you to get. You can figure this out pretty fast if you have the right track to run on. The reason you want to go into those listings, though, is that you make so much more money per each hour that you work and you start to gain control over your time and you get that consistent income. So it's worth the effort to get into the listing side of the business. All right. The next myth is that sellers beat you up on commission. You're going to walk in there and they're going to knock you down. Well, in my experience, it's only when you don't show them value in your presentation. If you don't show them what they're paying for, then you're right. They're going to beat you up on commission. So you have to have a canned presentation. You have to show a lot of value in what you're presenting. And the problem some people get into is they're stuck with, well, geez, am I really presenting anything new or unique or different than everybody else? The answer is probably no. You may be doing it at a higher level, okay, and you have better integrity and these other things, but the fact is you're probably selling homes similar to the way everybody else is selling homes. It's just you're not presenting it in a confident way, an organized way, and getting it out there so that the seller can pick you over someone else. And when you present that value proposition to the seller, the commission becomes secondary. The seller wants you because you're going to sell that home quickly. You're going to give them the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the fewest hassles. And those are the things that they really want. And the commission becomes secondary. Okay, so I'll show you more of what I mean as we move on. All right, so one other thing I want to talk about is self-sabotage and how you should get away from it. You may be doing it and don't even realize it. It took me a while to figure this one out when it comes to listings, but here's the thing you got to keep in mind. If you want to become a successful listing agent, you need to master two skills. One is you need to generate seller leads, and two is you need to present and get listings signed. Those are the two skills that you have to be really, really good at to become a great listing agent. And so if I were to ask you, which is most important, which of these two is most important? What I would typically hear back from most agents is, give me enough seller leads and I will perfect my presentation. I used to think that too. I used to think if I just had 28 sellers to present to, I'm going to get 2 or 3 of them. The problem is it doesn't work that way. Your mind is not going to give you the 28 sellers to present to because your mind is worried that you're not going to be able to present to them. Okay, does that make sense? I'll try to outline that a little better. When you do not have a strong listing presentation that you feel confident in, your subconscious will sabotage your prospecting efforts because your subconscious knows that you don't have anything to present to them or you don't feel good about that presentation. So therefore, why are you going to go out and actually find the sellers to talk to? Does that make sense? If you don't have that strong presentation in the background, you're not going to go find the people to present to. It's just the opposite of what you think, because chronologically, you need to find them first before you present, right? But the fact is, in your mind, you need to know that you can present to them before you're going to go out there and effectively prospect to pull them in, okay? So when you do have a strong presentation, you actually start to attract sellers. Your reticulator activator starts to go out there and you actually start to find people. You start to see opportunities you didn't see before. And that's why this whole presentation is going to be on how can you get that awesome, strong listing presentation so that you feel confident about it. And then you can go out and find the folks to start filling that funnel. All right. So if you master your listing presentation, and master is the key, I think model might be better. You're going to model these top agents and that'll help you master the listing presentation. Well, when that happens, you're going to start drawing sellers to you like a magnet. Again, it's counterintuitive because of the chronological thing. You think you got to go find them first and then present. But the fact is you have to have a strong presentation so that you can go out there and find them. It's just how it works. So beware that self-sabotage. Don't let your mind sabotage your listing prospecting efforts because you don't have the strong presentation and your mind to be confident, and that's where you're going to go with them. Okay. All right. So let's go through a quick overview. The summit, it was filled with dozens and dozens of hours of video of top agents demonstrating and explaining all the little intricacies, all the little details of listing homes at high frequency. And there's no way I could present all that information in this webinar today. So with our limited time, I want to walk through a quick overview of their 10 steps that you can use, okay, and make sure that you have these 10 steps in your process. And then I'm going to try to give a couple of quick examples, maybe one to two examples in each step of some of these highlighted ideas that came out during the summit that I think you should implement. And by the way, this is where you want to really start taking some notes. All right, here we go. So let's walk through the 10-step listing process of the top agents. Number one is screen and set. So what happens here is the seller has raised their hand and said, I am ready to do something. I'm thinking about selling my home. Okay, that's where we're starting. And once that happens, you're going to want to call them. You typically want to get on the phone. By the way, that might have come in by a phone call. It might have come in by an email. It might have come in by a text message. A lot of different ways it could have come in. Might have come in through instant messaging, through one of the social medias. However it got into you, you want to get on the phone with them pretty quick so you can have a fast back and forth dialogue. All right, once you get into that dialogue, you want to qualify for motivation and timing. That is the key. Is the seller motivated to actually move, and when do they want to make that move? Okay, if those two things are lining up, then you want to move ahead and set an appointment. Okay, by the way, we're just going to hit the highlights here real quick, this outline, and then we'll try to go into some of these details. Number two is the pre-listing package. So once you found a good person, good seller to meet with, you set the appointment, you want to pre-sell yourself with a pre-listing package. You want to get a package in their hand that they can read, review, take a look at, that pre-sells you as to why you are, number one, different, because you're going to have that pre-listing package that immediately differentiates you, but also your services, how you sell homes, all the things that they can read up on before you meet that'll speed up your actual meeting when you get together. A very funny story. How long is a listing presentation? It's typically around an hour. Some people do it faster, but it's typically around an hour. My very first listing presentation, 4 hours, 4 hours long. I didn't know what I was doing. I was bumbling around. All I knew is I was going to stay there until I got the listing, which I did. But you want something like this, a pre-listing package that'll speed up that whole process and make sure that the seller knows what's going to happen if they pick you. Okay, so number three, now we're going to go to the home. So I'm going to just talk about when you do the meetings at the home. Some agents are meeting in the office, but let's talk about when you meet at the home, which still most of them do. You're going to greet and tour. So right there at the door, you're going to make that quick hello. You're going to build a quick rapport, and you're going to build a rapport while you take a quick tour of the home. You should take a quick tour of the home to make sure there are no surprises, right? That the home is in relatively good condition. You're not finding cracks in the floor or in the ceiling or something that would just totally rule out the house and you wouldn't want to be involved in. You're also looking for anything unique, like they did a giant addition on the back and you didn't know. Well, that changes the value of the property in your presentation, right? Better to find that out before you start going into pricing. You're also, though, building rapport. The big one, you're not going to usually see those surprises. What you're really doing is just building a little dialogue with the sellers. You walk around for those 3 to 5 minutes. Take a little note. Take some notes on a notepad or on the back of your intake sheet is what I used to do as you're walking around that house. Okay, next, you're going to sit down at the table now. I prefer the kitchen table. They can do a dining room table. If you have to sit in the living room, do. But tables are the best because you can present all your material, and that's where they need to sign as well. When you sit down, you need to re-qualify that seller. You need to ask them questions about what are their true moving goals and objectives and timelines. You want to get them talking. That's the key. So you want to have a list of questions that you ask them that gets them talking, telling you their story. You're learning what their story is. You're also making sure that everything you've heard before is correct. They really are motivated. They really do need to be somewhere at a certain time frame. And you want to tie into that so you can help them the most. You want to make a lot of notes here so you know exactly what their objectives are so you can help them get there. Okay, next is you want to establish your expertise. A lot of agents skip over this. They're nervous about it. They don't want to toot their own horn. It's a big mistake. You want to detail your qualifications. And if you don't have any for some reason, use your broker or your office's stats and expertise that you're going to be relying on them, and you're going to use your energies to make this happen. But you need to establish your expertise, because when we get down a little further, we're going to be talking about pricing. And if you don't establish your expertise here, pricing is going to be a nightmare. They're not going to believe you or trust you. They're not going to think you know what you're talking about. So you need to take a second to establish your expertise. Okay, next. Now you're going to go into the marketing plan. How are you getting homes sold? You're going to talk in general. If you have anything specific about their property, you want to bring it up here, but you want to outline your specific marketing plan on how you get properties sold. And what I also have alluded to is a lot of the top agents, this is a very simple plan. It's just that they explain it very well. Okay. Next, valuing the home. This is, of course, one of the critical elements. If you get the price of the home set correctly, everything goes smoothly. You'll sell in a reasonable amount of time. Everybody's happy. If you get the price wrong, If you price it too low, it'll sell too quickly, but then the seller finds out, they're going to be mad. If you price too high, it's not going to sell, and no amount of marketing will get it sold, and the seller will think you're a bum. So this is critical, is to really hone in on this value proposition, this value of the home, to make sure that it's correct. So you're going to show them the CMA, the comparables. You're going to establish the list price. This is where what you do in step 7. All right, next, once you got that value determined, then you're going to go into the net sheet. You're going to show right here up front at the listing presentation all the estimated cost to sell this home. So, and show what the seller's estimated net proceeds check is. That's what they want to know. How much money they're going to walk out of closing with. Your C's are going to want to know all those little details as you go along, but everybody wants to know, what is the final check at the end? Okay, they want to see that. And everybody wants to know that you know what you're doing. This actually, believe it or not, it shows your expertise again, that you're able to walk through this and define what's going to happen during this transaction and this closing. Number 9 is you go for the close. You ask for the signature. And then if they have any objections that pop up, you're going to resolve those questions and get them to move forward with you. Okay, and we'll talk about a couple ideas in a minute. And number 10 is what happens next. You want to explain to them what is the next part of the process. You want to foreshadow how they're going to be moving through your system and getting all the way to that closing table and the close. So this is where you would hand out checklists for them, show them a flow chart, hand them a book on how to prepare for the photos that are going to be coming down, hand them a pamphlet or a checklist on how they can prepare for showings, hand them an item on how they can prepare their home for sale. Okay, some of our top agents had a 1-page, some had, I think, a 24-page manual that would show them with pictures exactly what to do to prepare for the home. So this is where you get them into the next step. And it's critical to have them have that vision of everything moving forward, because if you don't do that, as soon as you leave the house, they're going to have buyer's remorse, in this case, seller's remorse. They're going to think that they hired the wrong person and get nervous. You don't want that happening. You want them to be excited about the process. So show them that future that looks really promising, and give them a project to work on, some homework to move them forward. Okay, so why do the top agents list 1 home per week? As I mentioned, some 2, 3, 4, and more. Well, it's because they follow a system, and that's how you can do it. If you want to list 1 home per week, you just need to get a system in place. Once you have that listing system in place, your confidence soars. So you want to do this work in the background before you go out and try to find the sellers. Just be confident that you know that as soon as you put the system in place, the sellers are going to appear. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. They just are. You're going to become a magnet. You're going to become the professional. All right. Then your subconscious is going to want to find people to share the new expertise with. Again, it's just the way it works. And you become a magnet for those motivated sellers. Now, self-confidence is the antidote to self-sabotage. So if you've been self-sabotaging, the way to solve that is you need to replace the sabotaging with the confidence. You need to put something in its place. And the way to do that is to build up a great presentation you're excited about and you want to present to. Present it to people. There you go. With the listing system in place, the top agents, they get in the zone, they get in that middle zone. They start to attract the sellers. They start listing 1, 2, 3, and even 4 homes per week. And it starts to happen like clockwork. Again, that's what happened for me, happened for my listing agent. It's happened for a lot of our students. It's very exciting when everything starts to click and fall in place. All right, so a quick assumption. In this next section that I'm about to go into, I'm going to assume that you understand those core concepts, those 10 concepts that I just mentioned, those 10 steps. I'm going to assume you have a pretty good handle on what I was talking about there. This is an upper level training, and the summit was definitely for upper level people. And so I'm assuming that you have those core concepts as we move forward. I'm going to just jump into some of what I call the top agent ideas behind each step. And again, you want to start taking some notes. It's going to be really good. Basically, I'm going to show you some inside knowledge gained during that listing agent summit. And again, I don't have enough time to explain everything because there were dozens and dozens of hours of taping, but these are some of these hot ideas that popped out, these gems, these golden educational moments, and I want to share them with you. So going through, we're going to pop in and out of this. This is our 10-step listing process. So number one, screen and set. What did we learn? Well, Steve Cohen is a top agent, had this great idea. First of all, they all do this. They standardize their listing seller lead sheet. As that seller lead comes in, they know what they're going to say. So Steve uses a color coding for quick reference. He uses yellow so he can easily find that sheet on his desk when the seller calls in. He's going to ask the same questions of each seller before he meets with them. So that's why it's standardized. Now, the primary goal, again, is to determine the seller's motivation and timing. You really don't care about the property. The property does not matter. You will take information about the property, but it's the seller that matters. How motivated is that seller? Are they going to price their home correctly? Are they going to work with you through this process? What is their motivation? And what is the timing? How soon do they need this to happen? So a few key questions that you want to enter into this form are: where are you moving to? Why? Why do you need to be there? Why are you building this new home? Why are you moving to another home out of state? Why are you selling and moving into an apartment? What is your goal? What's going on here? And when do you have to be there? When does this transaction have to be closed? Okay, if they tell you 3 years from now, they're not very motivated. If they tell you 30 days from now, they're extremely motivated. Find out when. Will tell you how motivated they are as well. A great question to ask is, what happens if you don't get there in time? What happens if you go down this process and it doesn't happen when you need it to happen? What are you going to do? You're going to find out their real motivation when you put it in that format if they haven't revealed it earlier. Okay, by the way, you can download samples of the top agent seller sheets in the summit. And if you stick to the end, and by the way, thank you for hanging with me so far. If you stick to the end, I'll be giving you my seller lead sheet that I used. I'll give you a link to download that. All right, let's go to number two. Another great idea in the pre-listing package. These top agents are sending it out to pre-sell them. I'd like to talk about Patrick Tuttle. He's got this great idea. It's very exciting what he's doing. First of all, he gathers all the data on the seller, on their motivation, and as well as the property and their timing in an online form. Pretty cool. He created this little online form, and the sellers go in and they enter all their information. And he starts the conversation with an email to get them to go on this form. I'll talk about that in just a second. But again, this form, it finds the seller's motivation and timing. It does collect data about the house for the CMA, all the details he needs. By the way, this is freeing up all his time, right? He's not actually on the phone for 30 minutes. The seller is online for 30 minutes, filling out all this data for him. The key that makes it work is he sends a personalized 1 to 2 minute video email. Okay, and here's the screenshot of how the email starts. He writes this. He did this for me, so he wrote my name on there and said hi on his little what do you call that? Little marker board. And then this is what it looks like inside the email. And you press that red button and it pops up his video. I wanted to do it for you, but Google doesn't allow videos to be played in these webinars. And I'm doing this through Google Hangouts, so it wouldn't work. But anyway, that's what he does. And it's a little 1 2 minute video. He just says, hey, how you doing? Great to meet you. I'm excited to get this home sold for you. I need you to take a little action and fill out this seller questionnaire online. It's going to help me understand exactly what your situation is so that we can get this home sold faster and for the most money. And it's a really cool, short, little personal video email. And inside the summit, you actually get to see the video and all that jazz, but you get the idea of what he's doing there. So he introduces himself, he confirms the appointment, he instructs the seller to fill out the online questionnaire before the meeting. He builds that rapport quickly. He's smiling, he's happy, everything is cool. And there are no other agents doing this. In fact, there are very few agents that I've talked to that are doing this, and it's working extremely well for Patrick. And again, the entire video and screenshot and questionnaire and all that stuff is inside the summit. But I want to give you this idea of what he's doing. And you could start doing this as well with these video emails, as well as links inside the email to go to this seller questionnaire. All right, let's talk about number 3, the greet and tour, and a big idea that came out of that. So next we have Nate Martinez as a top agent. And he's down in Arizona. When Nate tours a home, remember, so we're talking about that touring section, he's looking for views of the house that he can capture and photos that he and his team will take later to market the home. So you notice this gorgeous view that he has. He kind of outlined that in his head as he was walking around. Um, and Nate likes to take these photos of the house at dusk, just as the sun is starting to go down. So he gets these incredible views, these hues, these blue hues. That's hard to say, but these blue hues, like look at the sky above the home there. And if we go back one, whoops, if you go back one, look at the reflection off the water. I'm looking at that picture down on the right. I mean, just pretty amazing stuff. Whoop, going the wrong way. Anyway, he likes these dusk pictures. He likes to wet down the concrete. Notice in this picture, he's wetted down the concrete to make it reflective. Nate says that these pictures are sexy, and these sexy photos sell the house. Doesn't that sound silly? It still sounds silly to me, but I understand the concept. If you make that house look really, really good, then that's going to pull the buyers in, right? And so notice he even did it inside. You can see outside that window in the back, it's kind of dark. But inside, it's got all the lights on. It's just this very beautiful home, and it's just a great way to present it. Normally, you think you have to do these things in the middle of the day with a lot of sun, which is what I used to do. But he's got this great technique of using dusk to do these photos. Well, it seems to be working for him. Sold 616 homes in 1 year. I think Nate knows what he's talking about. And so hopefully I gave you a really good idea. If you want to see more samples of what he's doing there, of course, all in the summit, including what he does, which is, and I want to mention, and you should think about, which is a launch program for introducing a property into the market. So when Nate signs the agreement that night, he doesn't immediately put it in the MLS the next day, which is what I used to do. He actually takes a couple of days, a week, even 2 weeks to prep the house, get all these photos exactly right, and to get his marketing going in the background. So it all comes out on the same day. So all the marketing hits at the same day. He described it as an Apple launch. When Apple launches out the iPod, the new iPods or iPhones and so forth, they do it all on one day. And that was his concept. And he says it's working extremely well to get these homes sold quickly. And for top dollar, he gets a lot of multiple offer situations going. All right, let's go into requalifying. Again, I hope you're taking a lot of notes here, a lot of good stuff. So this is where you're sitting down at the table with them. And, oh, good. I want to talk about Melinda Estridge. So Melinda is a top agent, does a great job, and she does a question-based presentation. Okay, so she has a series of questions she's going to ask here. She doesn't just ask one or two. Excuse me. She actually asks 31 different questions. And some of these questions, I pulled out a couple are, do you feel that I'm qualified to represent you? And do you want to go ahead and list your property right now? And then other questions that are in there are, why do you think that your home will sell? What would be something that will hold your home back from selling? What do you think is the biggest quality that we should talk about your home to other people? Why did you buy this home? What was the attractive feature that stood out to you? So she asked these type of questions to dig in and find out what that seller's doing as far as timing and motivation, but also about the property itself and why it's a great property. And as you can see, she just asked right up front, are you going to hire me? Are you ready to hire me? You ready to get me started? Wouldn't you like to know at the beginning of your presentation rather than the end that they're ready to hire you? That would fill you with a lot of confidence, right? All right, so this whole process of asking the 31 questions goes rather quickly, and it can result in a listing being signed as quickly as 20 minutes. So it's something you should consider is doing a question-based presentation. Okay, she's not flashing a lot of information out there about herself. What she's doing is asking questions to get the seller to get comfortable and answer and get involved in the process. You ever go to a party and you walk out of the party and think, geez, I just talked to Sally, and Sally was just the most amazing conversationalist. And if you actually go back and think about the conversation, it was because Sally asked you a lot of questions and let you answer a lot of questions, and you really enjoyed that process. So you just flip that around. You ask the seller questions, they get to talk, they get to be involved, they get to be excited about it, and it's going to lead to a faster decision. Okay, so again, it focuses on the seller and the seller goals, not the agent. It gets the seller talking, and the seller pretty much sells themselves on you. They get an immediate happy feeling or sensation about you. Now, the source of this idea came from Melinda's mentor, Bob Boland, who may be one of the greatest agents of all time. No kidding. Bob, in his 25-year career, he sold 10,372 homes worth over $4 billion, and he sold 1,100 properties in a single year. How did he do it? He used this question-based model. So he has this question-based model, and then Melinda took it and modified it and made it her own. She modeled Bob and had tremendous success with it. And if you end up becoming part of the summit or whatever, you can download these 31 questions. But I want you to get this idea, this concept of listing out your questions and asking them right there before you jump into the meat of your presentation. Or just this becomes the meat of your presentation, these seller questions. Okay. All right. Next is establish expertise. You got to show that you're the expert, because if you don't handle number 5 correctly, number 7, valuing the home, is going to be a nightmare. So you got to show that you know what you're talking about. So Chantel Ray is an incredible agent. She goes out and establishes her expertise very quickly with a slideshow presentation. So she does this all on PowerPoint. She's not going to linger on the fact that she's done well in her big production, but she wants to get that out there. And then she's going to start moving quickly. Remember, Chantel has this 10-minute listing presentation. It goes rather quickly. The way she's able to do that is she has a slideshow that she just walks through the slides. A lot of pictures involved in these slides, but they cue her on what to talk about next, and she's able to highlight and hit the most important items. Okay, and she and her team are on track to sell 1,300 homes this year. Chantel says that anything longer than 10 minutes is a giant waste of time. You're going to lose the seller's interest. And so you want to move through this quickly, keep them involved, and get this done. Now, by the way, I never did a 10-minute listing presentation, but Chantel's doing it on a huge level. And I assume, well, I know because she's told us, she sends it out as a pre-listing package at the beginning to get them prepped, but then her presentation goes really quick. Again, it's a PowerPoint slideshow, highlights all of the major areas of her listing program. Like this one's talking about the cost of overpricing her home. And by the way, that's a clip from the summit. That's why her picture's up there and she's talking us through it. It has a lot of pictures involved, a lot of graphics, a lot of things that'll pull the eye in. There's a heavy focus on her marketing program and pricing. That's what she really spends a lot of time on after she establishes her expertise. She gets it right into the marketing, and then the pricing and what the risks are of pricing too high, and how you can narrow that in and what to look for to make sure that you price correctly. And you can see Chantel's, you can, in fact, not only see it, you can download her entire slideshow inside the summit. So another valuable piece, but this gives you an idea of how you can narrow in on a 10-minute presentation. Put together some slides, lots of pictures, hit the highlights of what you want to talk about, the highlights of what's beneficial to that seller, and getting them where they want to go. All right, let's talk about marketing plans. Again, this is the one I think surprises everybody, is how basic most of the marketing plans are of the top agents. And when I talk about marketing plan, I'm talking about the plan to sell that house. All right, let's talk about top agent Eric Hatch. And KISS, keep your marketing plan simple, right? Keep it simple, silly. KISS your marketing plan, keep it super simple. So most agents overcomplicate the plan, or they worry their plan doesn't have enough bells and whistles. The key is to explain what all the other agents are probably doing, but break out all the little details that you're doing and make it look fantastic. Okay. And that's what these top agents are doing. This keeps your costs down. It increases your profits because you're not spending $1 bajillion on the marketing. You're just doing what works, and the results are strong. So Eric, for instance, shows sellers how he'll market their home by summarizing the core concepts on a single sheet of paper. It's not complicated. I mean, does that look complicated? It's a little sheet of paper outlined with some checklists, some check marks on it. And he's going to go through a couple of them, highlight what the keys are. Does it work? Well, Eric and his team listed and sold 516 homes last year. So yeah, I think it works. You just keep things simple. And again, you can download, amazingly, you can download all 14 top agent marketing plans, including Eric's, inside the summit. But for you, just if you don't want to be part of the summit, that's fine. Just listen. You just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Focus on the basics. Yard in this. Look at his stuff. Yard on the sign. Enter in the MLS. Okay, I mean, these are things that everybody does. Just outline it and show the seller what you're doing. Okay, let's go into value the home. Now, this is the critical one where most of the top agents spend a tremendous amount of time because they know if you can get that price correct, everything else goes smooth. The home is going to sell. It's going to sell quickly. Everybody's going to be happy. If they get the price wrong, it becomes a nightmare. They have to go back and ask for price reduction and everything else. Nobody wants to do that because it's just too hard. So valuing the home is critical, and you need to convince the seller that this is what they need to do. So let's talk about top agent Judy Jackson. Remember, she's a lead listing agent for the Toro sales team. So pricing the home is critical for success. A well-priced home is going to sell quickly, and an overpriced home is going to just sit there. So Judy uses a lot of charts and graphs. She walked us through her whole presentation. It was shocking how many charts and graphs she had. I think at least 10 that she was using to get this idea of don't overprice your home, price it to the market. Okay, so here's an example of one. She talks about the risk of overpricing, and a couple more that you'll see here. But basically, she wants to give them visuals so they understand the concept. Like this one is a great one, this target. Even if you don't like charts, like the first one there, people can understand this target. And you can explain that they want to hit in the middle of that target and that that's where things are priced correctly. And if they're off in their pricing, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to get any showings, or you're going to get low showings or drive-bys, or people who say they like the home but never make an offer. You're able to describe it during that target. And then the trend chart helps the sellers who like math. If they do like math, showing them these graphics are helpful. You'll notice that red line shows the trend. Everybody can understand that's going down, and you can explain the risks of what happens if things don't work out. So you need the tools to educate the seller and explain why they need to price the home right from the start. Don't jump ahead to pricing. Make sure they understand what the risks are if they mess up that pricing piece first. Okay, and again, you can watch and download dozens of samples of pricing charts, diagrams, I'm trying to think of it, absorption rate. A lot of the agents use absorption rate to talk about, what's your month supply of properties in the market, which you can easily find in your MLS. Anyway, those are the kind of things you want to get into with the pricing. It's critical to price that correctly. Once you get that pricing nailed down, then you want to go into the net sheet. And the net sheet, you want to estimate all those costs and get them all down to a single number or a range of numbers for that seller, so they have an idea what's going to happen at the end. Now, this is where I love this great idea from Paul Wheeler. You really want to write this down. In his, the net sheet is where it's usually the first time that the seller is going to see your commission rate in print, right? So if you've not addressed it in the presentation, you need to talk about it now. You need to get this out there so there's no big surprises. And Paul Wheeler offers a flexible commission program with 3 commission rates. And by the way, most of the top agents don't. There are a few agents that offer a flexible commission program. Most of them just have one rate and they go with it. But Paul does this, and he did it for a reason. Early in his career, he was talking to a lot of for sale by owners, and other sellers would call in. And when they would start talking to him on the phone in the initial conversation, the seller would say, well, what's your commission? And when he told them, they would hang up because he was charging a pretty good commission, and they would that was it. That was the end of the call. And he said, I got to get a way that I can get into the house, talk to the people, explain what's going on, give them a lot of options, but explain why they might want to consider actually paying a little more and getting a better, more service and a higher price and a faster sale. So what he did was he added a super low discount model flat rate fee to his options. And he started telling the callers when they would ask him about his commission, he'd say, I have 3 commission rates starting as low as $9.95. And that was it. They would set the appointment. Everybody was starting to set the appointment, and it worked. And then when he gets there, when he gets to the commission, you can see this chart here down on the right. He writes it out by hand. He's got these different options of how his programs work. Oops, missed my little button there. How his programs work. So you fast forward to the presentation. He offers the seller 3 commission plans. And the amazing part is they always pick the highest rate. They always pick the highest rate. By the way, he's such a low pressure guy. He just talks about this so easily and smoothly. He just gives them the options. And that's what this OCR is here. He gives them the options. He explains what the consequences are of each one. And then he makes recommendations for why one would work better than the other. And he has this servant's heart. He just wants to help them achieve their goals. So then he just says, well, which one would you like to do? And he says, amazingly, the majority of the time, they pick his highest rate. Isn't that incredible? So giving options is a pretty good idea, especially if you're bumping into this problem of not getting in the door and being able to talk to them. Obviously, if you have a broker there, you need to ask them if you could do this and how to structure it. But most brokers today are going to help you set something up. Okay, you can watch Paul's entire commission presentation and including exactly how he presents this and get such great success with it. That's all inside the summit. But I wanted to outline for you just the idea, how it works, what he's doing, enough material that you could take this and run with it if you chose to. Okay, next let's talk about close and handling the objection. So you want to ask for the signature after you get through your presentation and resolve any questions. So let's talk about an idea that came out from Shar McCollum. You're going to love this one too. Do you cringe when a seller asks you to reduce your commission to match a discount broker that they just spoke with? I mean, has that ever happened to you? It certainly happened to me. Well, Shar McCollum was tired of dealing with this problem, and she didn't think that the premise of the discount broker was right. The fact that this idea, it's not a fact, it's a premise that, oh, if you use a cheaper agent, it's going to cost you less. Her premise is actually it's going to cost you more. So she wanted a way to show this. And what she did was she did a little research and she found out the true cost and reward of working with the biggest discount broker in her town. Okay, she just went in and did the research online and found out what their numbers really are. And then she compared the net results to her own. So she did two researches. She went into the website of the discount broker and she pulled out all their information of what the true cost is to work with them. So not just the starting rate, but also the little teeny fine print about any additional fees that they have. And then she went into the MLS and she found out what that discount broker's average days on the market was and average sales to list price ratio. And she compared that to her own. Okay, once she discovered that she was way ahead, she put together this sheet that's sitting over here on the right under her picture, this one-page document to map it out for a seller. So she discovered again that after you add up all the discount broker's hidden fees and subtracted the lower average price of the discount broker, sellers actually earn more net profit, how much money they walk out of closing with Shar, even though she has a higher commission rate. Okay, she was able to map that out for logical people, but anybody can look at those numbers and see that they're way ahead with Shar. So then she mapped it out on her form and she created that form to the right called Debunking the Discount Broker Myth. And she hands that document to any seller that starts talking about discount brokers. And it immediately eliminates the discount broker from consideration as soon as she walks them through the form. And Shar wins the listing. They no longer beat her up because they realize, oh my gosh, it was not what they thought it was. All right. Well, you can download the complete form, of course, inside the summit, or you can create your own. Just go out and do what I just mentioned. Do the research on the discount broker online. Do the research of exactly what the little details are. Do the research in the MLS on days of market and average sales to list price ratio, and put it in a document that makes sense that you can present to that seller. And you're going to win over those discount brokers. So pretty cool. All right, here's another idea from Wayne Turner. There were just so many amazing ideas. I wish I could share them all, but I want to get as many in as I can. So we got Wayne Turner. And by the way, I know I've just gone over an hour. I apologize. I'll try to keep moving here and get this going. But I wanted you to see what else was going on. We got Wayne Turner. Have you ever gotten to the end of your presentation and everything's gone well, and you ask the seller couple, this is typically with a couple, to sign, and they say, Wayne, we really want to think it over. We really want to think about it. You ever get there? It just used to drive me crazy. I'm like, what do you need to think about? I just spent an hour talking to you about all these things, but they do. They need to think something over. Okay. Well, you try a few of the standard objection style handling techniques. You got to kind of hold yourself back and say, well, let's walk into this logically. And you try to dig for more information like, well, what seems to be holding you back? And is there anything I haven't talked about today that we should have been talking about? What would help you make a decision tonight? You ask those kind of questions. And if things are not getting to where you want them to go, okay, if it goes nowhere, then You should try Wayne Turner's step away technique. I wish I would have known this when I was listing property. This is so cool. Here's basically what happens. Wayne tells the seller that he left an important, it should have been but an important marketing piece in his car. Okay, he's got an important marketing piece out there in his car. So he leaves the house and he sits in his car for about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. He fumbles around looking for it in case they look out the window, but he's got it right there. He's looking for a postcard or a flyer or something. He walks back in with the postcard, flyer, whatever he had in the car, and he shows the seller. He says, "Hey, check out this great postcard. Isn't this awesome?" And he asks, "Are you ready to hire me?" And you know what the seller says? Yes. The most common answer is yes. So what happened? How did the seller go from, nah, I want to think about it and, come back later? How did the seller all of a sudden say yes? It's because the seller needed a few minutes to talk privately and confirm that they both liked Wayne. They just needed to talk. They just needed to, it's probably a real fast conversation. She turns to him and says, "Well, what do you think, honey?" And he says, "Well, I like Wayne. What do you think?" And she says, "Well, I like Wayne." And they say, "Well, do you think we should hire him?" And they say, "Yeah." That was it. They just, with you in the room, they couldn't do that. They couldn't talk to each other and confirm that everything was okay. Maybe they're nervous, maybe C's or S's, which are a large part of the population. And they needed that little private moment. So Wayne walks out, he walks back in, they're actually ready to go. Bingo, it's done. So try that the next time the seller stalls out on you at the end of your presentation. That might be the difference. That may save you days and weeks of trying to get back in touch with them. And the fact that they're all hot for you right now, they just need that final little over the top. If you leave and walk away, the odds of them still being hot when you come back are now small. Okay, so try that. So you can listen to Wayne's exact script inside the summit, or I just outlined the basic idea for you. You can write it out on your own. Either way, this is a great idea of something you should think about doing. All right, let's talk about what happens next. What happens next? How do you keep them involved moving forward to make sure that something that they're going to continue and not get that buyer, or in this case, seller's remorse? All right, so Shane White has some great ideas here. So he tells the seller what's going to happen next, and he gives them some paperwork, right? He gives them, in this case, a seller guide, or you can do a checklist to prepare the home for, in this case, for pictures. So this is just a quick list of what they can do inside their house to prepare for those pictures to make sure it shows its best. Now they have something in their hands, something they can walk through. And if they do go through it, your picture's going to look a lot better. He also hands them another document, and that is the seller's quick tips on last minute showings. Okay. So you know how it happens all the time, right? That agent calls at the last minute and they want to see the home, and the seller only has maybe 15, 30 minutes to prepare. Boom, give them a quick checklist of the hot items that they should address first. And if they only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or maybe they have 15 minutes, give them a quick guide of what to work on first. So they're not doing silly things like cleaning up the closet. They're actually working on important stuff like putting the dishes in the dishwasher, or throwing the laundry in the washing machine, those kind of things. So really cool. This is just one. These top agents had a million different things that they hand out at the end, but that gives you an idea of things that you can hand out. So again, you can download these forms of Shane's plus all kinds of other documents and next step processes inside the summit, or just create your own. You now have this idea of creating your own and what should be in it. Another great idea. This comes out from Judy Jackson. I really wanted to get this out to you. How you can stop working evenings and weekends and never work a Sunday again, right? I used to work almost every day. In fact, I think it was every day. And I wouldn't take a vacation for years. If you're in that mode, geez, break out of it. And here's a way to do it, okay? So you need to include a special attachment. And by the way, if you get any of these kind of things and see the verbiage, you need to review it with your broker or attorney. That's why I'm not going to flash the verbiage up here. I'm going to give you the idea, but you need to talk to your broker or attorney, make sure it complies with your local laws and rules and so forth. But you want to take a special attachment and attach it to your listing agreement. And basically what it's going to say is the seller agrees and instructs their agent to postpone offer and inspection negotiations. That's the key there. Postpone offer and inspection negotiations that are received after hours and on the weekends to the next business day. Now you have permission from your seller to let things sit after 5 o'clock, or let them sit Saturday and Sunday, and deal with them Monday morning or the next morning of whenever they came in. You don't have to rush around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to deal with these silly negotiations at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. I remember doing that. It was insane. Once I got this under control, I didn't do it with this method, which is a really awesome method, and I wish I would have known. I did it differently, but I like this even better. Get your seller to say this is what's going to happen. Then you can put it in the MLS in the bottom and notes to the other agents. Hey, offer and inspection negotiations will occur on the next business day, etc. You can put it in your voice message, which is how I did it. So when they call and they get your voice message, they know exactly what's going on. I've talked to agents who have something like this noted on the bottom of their email, where your email signature is, that you don't work evenings and weekends, but you'll be happy to deal with everything the next day. So that notifies not only your clients, but also agents who are contacting you. Anyway, you want to get the word out there, and you're getting empowered to do this because the sellers agreed to it and they want you to do this. You tell them you want to be fresh when you're working on this stuff, not so tired you can't even think straight. Okay. Sweet freedom. Once you put this together, man, I loved getting my Sundays back. It was so awesome. My wife and kids loved it. It's what you need to do. But this is a concept that you can use. Now, of course, you can download this form inside the summit and model, don't just use directly, but model some of the language that Judy's using here, or just write up your own. You have the idea now, you can put it in place. Okay. So becoming a listing agent is the key to prosperity. It can transform your career from a roller coaster ride to a dependable, predictable income stream. It's going to reduce the number of hours that you work with each client, and it's going to free up your evenings and weekends. I'm a massively strong believer that if you're here today, you have the right stuff to become a super successful listing agent, especially if you listen to me babble on for all this time. You're able to dig in and learn new material. So please remember, nothing I've shared with you today is theory or might work. This is exactly what the top agents do. It's what I did, and even what my new listing agent, who was just 6 months in the business and only closed 2 buyers before, listed 14 homes in 30 days, his 3rd month on my team. And we all became huge listing agents by modeling the top agents. It doesn't matter if you're a new agent, an experienced agent, or a long-term veteran, you can become a master listing agent. It's all about modeling. That's the key. Model the successful systems. The successful agents do exactly what they're already doing. Just watch it and mimic it, and it'll work for you just like it worked for me. Okay, as a reminder about all this, what is the key to doing all this? You're going to be helping more people achieve their real estate dreams. You do have to worry about the dollars and cents. That's always something you have to do in your business, because if you don't make a profit, you're out of business, right? But the big goal is you get to help more people. You get to help more people, and don't more people deserve your great representation? Aren't you going to guide them to the finish line better than anybody else? I always believed that. I always believed I was a warrior, and I bet you do too, that you're out there fighting for your clients to get them the best deal possible. Well, now you're going to be able to do that more often, and you're going to be able to generate a consistent revenue stream for you, so you, the warrior, can stay in great shape and go fight for more people, and you're going to create that revenue for your family as well. So becoming a magnet for motivated sellers and helping them make the right choices, and hiring you is going to be the right choice, right? So you want to create that predictable, dependable monthly income stream that you can count on month in and month out. And that's going to happen once you become a strong listing agent. So the bottom line is this: it's very simple to master anything, really is. If you want to master any idea or topic, there is a way to do it. And it's just go out and model the top performers in that field. Find out what they're doing and do what they do. So once you get that down and you do what they do, you're going to get the same results that they get. Top agents list dozens, even hundreds of homes per year by following a proven, systematic way to list homes. So if you want to master listings and gain control over your income and your time, model the top agents. Just do what they do. Now, I'm not sure why you showed up here today. It could be that you're having a hard time setting up listing appointments with qualified, motivated sellers. It could be that you're going on appointments, but your presentation is failing to get the seller to hire you. Well, I've been there. It could be that your presentation is good, but you're stumbling in the transition to the close. You're tripping on your words, you get knocked out with objections. Or it could be that you're getting hired, but your listings are many of them are overpriced and you're doing it at discount commissions. If you're struggling with any of those things, this is something that I hope you learned today how to handle. It could be you showed up today just because you're bored. If you did, that's great. Thanks for listening to my voice. But if there's one thing that you can take away from today, it's that I've cracked the code for modeling the top agents' listing presentations and duplicating their results. It's literally changed my world. Remember, I got up to 21 listings in 30 days, and the world of my new listing agent, who was only 3 months with me and only sold 2 homes before, he got up to 14 listings in 30 days, and the world of my students. It's very much a replicatable system, something you can duplicate, and you can apply this to your real estate practice. And you can finally have a consistent, dependable monthly income and the freedom to enjoy it. So the obvious question is, how can you apply this code, this system, this model of the top agents and their listing presentations to your business and create a consistent monthly income? Well, you always have a choice. You can do it slowly using trial and error, taking some of what I shared today, or you can do it quickly using the models in the Listing Agent Summit Recordings training program. When in doubt, I like to bring in Einstein, right? And he said that everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler, right? How key is that? And that's what I believe the Listing Agent Summit does. The simple concept is go in and model the top agents and everything plays out. So what is the Listing Agent Summit recordings? The Listing Agent Summit happened 5 months ago, happened last September. 14 top agents demonstrated their listing presentations as we got to watch over their shoulder and onto their computer screen. You can see and download. That's kind of another key. What people really like inside the summit is you can download their real life listing presentation documents, and you can hear and then mimic their words and scripts that they're using. You just simply model their best practices. It was all recorded on video, so you can watch the whole thing at your leisure. You can speed through it like I did when I got that tape and watch all in one session, although, boy, that'd be a long session. Or you can watch it over time and pick up a couple of hours a day, and you're going to just start absorbing so many amazing ideas. Well, this is absolutely the fastest way to get from point A to point B. You can get your goals slowly, driving, I don't know what this is, this rickety old car. Look how small those wheels are. Or you can get there quickly driving a Ferrari, okay? It really comes down to how quickly do you want to have that success. And what exactly is inside the summit? Well, there are 14 video trainings of each top agent demonstrating their listing presentation step by step in detail, so you can see the entire presentation and why each part works. And there's downloadable material, samples that you can use. There are seller lead sheets and appointment setting scripts from the very beginning. There's pre-listing packages. You actually get to see their package and what they're putting in it, how they put it together, and what goes out. There's listing presentations with full marketing plans. You get to see exactly what they do when they get inside that house. There's no surprises. There's pricing charts and graphs to make sure that that seller lists at the right price the first time out. So you get a fast sale, and everybody's going to be happy. There are forms and checklists to make sure you're following the procedures all the way down, and make sure that you're handing out checklists to the sellers that they're going to enjoy. And that's what that last part is, the seller handouts. And an example would be prepping their home for photos or preparing for showings. It's a complete step-by-step system for mastering the listing presentation and getting signatures. Nothing is left out. And you can log in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's all digital and it's all downloadable, and you get immediate access if you decide to join us today. There, again, are two major components that I really want to point out here. You get 14 video demonstrations, okay, all these samples, 14 top agents who are closing 100 to 13 homes a year. You'll learn their exact listing process, watch their exact listing presentation, hear their scripts and dialogues and how they're presenting it, and all the downloadable samples. Okay. And there's a whole bunch in there. And as we just mentioned, you got a seller lead sheet, you got appointment setting script, you've got the pre-listing package, the listing presentation with full marketing plans. You've got pricing charts and graphs, forms and checklists, seller handouts. By the way, it's from 14 different agents. So they all do it slightly differently. There's going to be one you really connect with and you really like. Maybe for me, there are 3 or 4 or 5, but you're going to be able to learn from all of them. Just find out which ones you like the best and start modeling. In fact, if you don't mind, let's take a minute. I want to give you a quick tour inside so you can see what is actually inside the summit. And in order to do that, it's just going to take me a second. Sorry about the blank screen there. Let me go on over there. Hang out there with me just about there. And bingo, you should be seeing inside the summit. So once you enter the summit, this is what you see, a little page there to tell you where you're at and see some instructions, recordings. Let's work our way down. The very first presentation is by Eric Hatch. He's going to talk about in-office appointments. He just started doing that recently. He's getting an 85% show-up rate with 70% sign-up rate. Pretty incredible. Now, Eric is up there in Fargo, North Dakota, and he's been doing this for 10 years, sold 516 homes worth $108 million in his best year. During his session, he's going to talk about seller prequalification, why seller motivation is everything, setting seller expectations early, pricing the home correctly. He's got this really cool idea about pricing pyramid. Hope you can see that. Justify your commission by reducing to the ridiculous. He has this great idea that he used with me about Lexus service for a Toyota cost, even though he actually charges a pretty good rate, and how to increase your number of bats and more. So you can see that you can play the video. Okay. And again, Google won't let it play, but anyway, you play the video and you can watch the whole thing, or you can download the audio if you want to listen to what he's talking about in your car, take it with you or on the road or while you work out, listen to it in the office, in the background, etc. You got the audio, and you can download his entire listing presentation, which is a big old document. I think it was maybe 40, 50 pages long. Also, I broke out these audios. If you're still burning the CD, there's an 80-minute limit. So I broke them out on these where you can burn that to CD in 2 parts. Okay. Let's go down and see who else is here. We got Chantel Ray. She's on track to sell 1,300 homes this year. She has this 10-minute listing presentation that she talks about in here. Chantel is in Virginia Beach, Virginia. She's been an agent for 12 years. She and her team are on track to sell over 13 homes this year and are averaging 130 to 150 homes sold per month. In this session, Chantel talks about limiting that listing presentation to 3 minutes. In fact, she thinks, 10 minutes. She thinks if you go over 10 minutes, you're talking too much. The 3 things that sell a house: price, marketing, and condition, and that she only controls one of those. She goes into that. And then she talks about staging as a value-added service, preparing for price adjustments up front at that listing agreement with the 2-lane analogy and describing how that works is pretty cool. And then the easy exit listing guarantee, why confidence is key, and more. So you can watch her presentation in depth, and you can download her entire slideshow presentation. I mean, this is so invaluable. You get to see her exact presentation she's using to list and sell 1,300 homes. And you get to see her net sheet and how she maps that out. Okay, then we got Brian Macker. 75% of his business is sellers. You know, if you want to see a business where someone's doing a lot of production on their own, he's going out and meeting with every single seller. 77% sign-up rate, which is pretty phenomenal. He's in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He's been an agent for 30 years. Brian sold 235 homes worth $45 million last year. 75% of his business was sellers. He's listing 75%. He listed 177 homes on 231 appointments. He has a 77% success ratio, which we just mentioned. And in this session, Brian, he's talking about some really cool things like keeping it simple, asking lots of questions, and by the way, he's a master of asking questions. You want to listen to what he has there. Giving sellers homework before he gets there. If they have that homework done, you know you're going to get the listing. He gives that to him before he shows up. Why he wants to be the last agent, how he positions himself, asking the seller for their title and their the title of their flyer, so he gets their idea on marketing. Questions for the sellers to ask other agents, so he's preparing himself to look the best. His 14-step marketing plan. Remember, just 14 steps. Okay. These are simple plans, the value of testimonials, and more. And I just realized I should have made this a little bigger. Let's see if we can get that bigger so you can see. Hey, how's that look? There we go. Brian has these handouts. He's got his audio that you can download and listen to wherever you'd like, as well as watch the video. Pre-listing package, you can download his actual package, his listing questions, his marketing plan, and then also the audio's broke up if you need to put that on CD. We got Melinda Estridge. She has this question-based listing presentation, which is really cool. Those 31 questions that she knocks out and gets listing signed as fast as 20 minutes. She also uses staging as a competitive advantage. You'll see how she goes and uses before and after pictures to really convince the seller she's the right person. She is in Bethesda, Maryland, and she's been an agent for 37 years. She does a lot of the upper end work. She sold 120 homes worth $70 million in her best year. And Melinda's going to talk about, again, that simple question-based presentation or pre-inspection for faster sales. This is a great script. I'd rather turn you down now than let you down later. Okay, that's in her pricing script. It's very powerful. Staging is a competitive advantage. Using before and after photos, showing the seller the MLS trending chart. She uses a lot of great charts for pricing. You get to see all that in her video. And then also she has a whole bunch of handouts for you. The listing interview, the listing presentation, 30 questions, the home sold by Melinda, the CMA, her market stats, her new seller guide, which is this big, thick, amazing guide that she hands out. It's full color. Prepping your home for sale, another one of these incredible guides that she hands out. Sample brochure of one of her properties, open house invitation. She's showing these to the seller, and before and after pics, you actually get to see what she's showing sellers. And you can also break that audio out into 2 parts if you need to. Then we get down into Nate Martinez. He's launching houses into the market with his Apple marketing system for faster sales. Now, Nate is in Glendale, Arizona, and he's been an agent for 31 years, sold 116 homes worth $68 million in his best year. Now, Nate's going to talk about his high-quality marketing that he uses to generate seller leads. He actually goes into some of his marketing pieces before they call, so you can see what he's doing there. Pretty cool. Why house pictures at dusk are sexy. How he sets his mind to be confident. His Apple marketing system for launching houses into the market for faster sales, which has been working extremely well for him. And how to handle seller stalls. He's going to go into what he does when that happens. And here you go. You got the video you can watch as well as all the handouts. You got the audio you can download. He actually does a lot of geographic farming, so you can see his newsletter. Info sheet for sellers. He actually showed his info sheet for buyers too. The info sheet is that lead sheet when the lead first comes in and the questions that he likes to ask. His listing presentation all mapped out. His property brochure, the sample that he shows, as well as his just listed postcard that he shows and is having huge success with. Patrick Tuttle, really cool, talks about video email. And in this session, you can see his actual video email in play, what he's saying, how he's doing it, as well as he's doing in-office listing appointments now and having tremendous success. It speeds up his process, right? Because we mentioned he is doing where he has them go in, the seller go in and fill out his online form. He has this video email, and he's getting everybody to come into the office. It's all designed to speed things up and to build this rapport before they meet with him, which is important for Patrick because Patrick's not a big outgoing person. He's more reserved, and so he wants to use these mediums to create that bond with the seller up front. So again, he sold 80 homes worth $15 million in 1 year and has 196 rental properties on top of that he manages for people. And he's going to talk about adapting his presentation to his high S personality, using video email to confirm appointments and build a rapport, having the seller fill out an online questionnaire, an FAQ email that he sends out. You'll get to see that actual email as well as download it. Bringing the seller into the office for the listing appointments, how he gets that done, how he got it over the hump the first time he did it. Absorption rates for positioning the price correctly, how he's using absorption rates, his easy exit listing, and his close that he uses very well, which is, are you ready to put me to work? Okay, he's going to go through all of that in the video, as well as the downloads, again, of the audio. You got to see his online questionnaire. Every single question is there, so you can outline it and model it if you wanted to. His marketing agreement that he uses, as well as his no hassle marketing system, which is basically his listing presentation. And you get to see all of that and download it. These are all downloads. You can download all of that and take a really close look and model it. And then we got Paul Wheeler. He has the 3-option commission plan and why everyone chooses the highest rate. This is so cool. You want to watch how Paul walks through this presentation. He's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Notice these people are all over the country in different places. He's been an agent for 23 years, and Paul sold 248 homes worth $35 million in his best year. And Paul here is going to be talking about selling with a servant's heart. Paul really cares about his clients. By the way, all these folks do, but Paul has really brought it to a level where he calls himself a servant of these sellers to try to help them make sure they make a good decision. He has this OCR idea, which is basically give people options, what the consequences of those options are, and what the recommendations he has are. He shows you how to detach from the outcome, so that whatever they decide is fine. And for whatever reason, that makes them make great decisions, usually in your favor, which is pretty cool as well. His mission is to educate and communicate so that sellers can make better decisions. He gives sellers homework before they arrive. If that homework is done, he knows he's going to get that listing. So he likes to look for that homework when he first walks in. How his guaranteed sell program works, he actually goes into those details. His 3-option commission plan, and again, why everyone chooses the highest rate. So that's all in Paul's video there. And then Paul has these handouts of the audio, his seller interview sheet for the intake sheet, his actual listing presentation he uses, and the chart that he uses for his flexible commissions that he writes out. So you're going to see how that works. And then we got Judy Jackson here. She sells with enthusiasm. You're going to love how excited she is. And she says because she gets so excited when she presents, that pulls people in and it makes them want to work with her. She also has the document on how to never work a weekend again and how she pulls that off. So Judy is a listing partner with the Toro sales team in Sumner, Washington. She's been an agent for 17 years. She said her whole life opened up when she became a listing partner because she got back those evenings and weekends and all those crazy hours she was working by use of that document. Not only that, she started selling more properties. She started listing. She listed 7 homes in 7 days and just kept right on that pace. She was really clicking. So Judy talks about showing the seller how enthusiastic you are to sell their home, giving the seller a self-assessment. Oh, this was cool too. Giving the seller a self-assessment test to determine the seller's disc in 2 minutes. It's right at the end of their intake form, and it's super, super cool. It's just one little question with a couple of multiple answers, and you find out, are they a D, S, or C? Also, she uses a lot of pricing target graphs, the photo preparation guide for the sellers. Well, by the way, lots of graphs and charts that she uses in there. Photo preparation guide for the seller. She presents the 3 net sheets. So not 3 net sheets, but the 3 options inside of a net sheet. She'll show you how that works and how she's using it, which is really cool. That's something similar to what I did. You give them a range of value, and as long as they pick one of those, you win, right? So it all works. Sharing the competitors' success failure stats. This is kind of stealth move. She'll go in and find out who she's working against and get their stats and present them to the seller right there at the presentation. How to get the seller's permission and authorization to never present an offer again over the weekend. Really cool stuff. Judy goes through all of that in her video. She also has this audio that you can download, listen to the whole thing. And then the seller interview pre-list, she's got that where you can go through the questions, her listing presentation, her market comps, how she presents those, the net sheet, her guide for the photo prep. Okay, it's pretty cool to hand it out at the end. And then this document that was just gold of how to never work a weekend or an evening again by getting that seller to agree in writing that you don't have to do that. You can move everything to the next day. Okay, then Shane White, why he'd rather be the first agent presenting. Okay, so he likes to go on real strong and close at the beginning, not wait till the end of if you're in competition, and how he uses trial closes all the way throughout his presentation. You're going to be hearing him use that and how he does it. Now, Shane is in Liberty Hill, Texas. He's been an agent for 16 years. He sold 212 homes worth $36 million in his best year. And Shane's going to talk about why determining motivation at the beginning in the initial interview is critical to success. And when he does, everything works out. So he also will show you when he will or will not send a pre-listing package. Sometimes he doesn't. Okay, I'll explain what happens usually in a fast market, how he makes that determination, why he'd rather be the first agent. He uses this great idea for price point bracket technology for pricing the home better. You're going to really like that. That's something similar to what I've used in the past. It works really well. His 76-point marketing plan, his flexible fee program, his 67 ways to prepare your home for a showing that he hands out, and preparing your home for pictures handout, as well as his use of trial closes. And you can see all of that inside of Shane's video. And then you also have, again, all these handouts, the audio, if you want to put that into an MP3 player and use it when you're walking around or in your office or workouts, or in your car. And then you've got his listing presentation, including the 76-point marketing plan, his flexible fee structure, how he outlines that, his flyer that he shows for marketing a property, and what that looks like. Prepare your home for pictures handout, as well as the 67 ways to prepare your home for a showing handout, the quick tips on last minute showings handout, which is really cool. I really like that one. And that's all inside of here. And then you got Steve Cohen, and Steve talks about how he lists homes in his office before he looks at the house or even gives a price. Do you hear that? He's listing homes in his office, does not give them a price, doesn't look at the home. How cool is that? He's going to walk through his process, how he's doing that up in Arlington Heights, Illinois. He's been an agent for 27 years. So the 106 homes were 26 million in his best year. And in this session, Steve talks about those listing sellers. This idea of listing the seller, not the home. It's the seller motivation is everything. Meeting the seller in your office and getting hired before you see the house or give a listing price. Getting hired for your services, okay, not for whatever price you state. So they're going to hire you for being you, and then you're going to go later and find out what the price is. Not giving away your expertise for free. Only working with people that you like and are willing to work through your system. If they won't follow his system, they just don't work with him. Describing the price. He's got this great idea. You're really going to like this, how he talks about a beauty pageant versus a grocery line analogy when he's talking about the pricing with the seller. Okay, so there's Steve's video. You can also download his audio, his seller questionnaire that he uses, his confirmation letter, and his pre-package, which also doubles as his listing package. And it's pretty in-depth. You're going to be surprised. He's got a lot of great information in there and a lot of great analogies. He's a great storyteller. Shar McCollum, she's going to talk about how to logically show the seller why discount brokers will be more expensive. This thing is golden, probably worth the price of the whole thing right here. Shar is in Olathe, Kansas, and she sold 210 homes worth $35 million in her best year. She's going to talk about adjusting your presentation to what the seller wants to talk about. Okay, starting by asking how you can help today, assuming that you're going to get the listing and ask for it throughout the presentation. The key to success is learned responses. Know your scripts and also know your numbers and know the numbers in the market. How to logically show the seller why discount brokers will be more expensive. Okay, that's pretty awesome. And the script for getting the seller to cancel. This was also really cool. If you're the first agent in or the second agent in, there's agents behind you, and the seller says, I got to talk to these other agents. Shar's going to give you the script for how you can move past that and get the seller to just sign with you today by you telling the seller that you will take care of the other agents. You will call those other agents and let them know they'll be the first one to have the first access to bring their buyers through to show the property. So Shar talks about all that in her video. You can download her audio. You get her intro sheet when she first talks to the seller, her iPad listing presentation, the absorption rate chart that she uses, which is really cool. The real estate market comparison, how she's going to compare herself to the rest of the market, her CMA, her net sheet, and this one right here is so golden. Debunking the discount broker myth, how she outlines exactly why discount brokers cost a lot more than they say they are, and how she is actually a better deal at her higher commission rate, but because she's selling for a higher price, they're netting more money. And the home selling manual that she hands out to them at the end to explain to them the entire process and get them prepped. All right, we got Bob McTagg. He's going to go through his 10-step process for listing more homes. He's going to talk about how you attract your ideal client and the ugly CMA. Now, Bob is up there in Manlius, New York, and he's been an agent for 10 years. Bob sold 210 homes worth $32 million last year. And in this session, Bob's going to talk about his 10-step listing process for listing homes. It's not our 10 steps, but it's very similar. You're going to see what he does in there, which is really cool. How to find out your ideal client, why you should cut to the chase when sellers ask you a question about price, marketing, or commission, how you can get right down to brass tacks. He's also going to talk about his 3-step marketing approach, why he uses an ugly CMA, why it's so effective, and his 30-day home selling program, how he's getting homes sold in 30 days. And also telling the seller, just being upfront with them, I want your business. I want your business. How price ties into the probability of the home selling, and why confidence is the key to success, and more. So that's all inside of Bob's video. You're going to be able to download his audio as well as his entire slide deck and examples that he went through there. You got Wayne Turner. And we're almost to the end, by the way. There's just so many incredible people. We got Wayne Turner. We got the step-by-step technique to handle the I want to think about it stall. Wayne is with Turner Real Estate Group in Mandeville, Louisiana. He's been an agent for 20 years. Wayne sold 216 homes worth $51 million in his best year. And in this session, Wayne talks about questions to ask during the initial call, how you build trust and rapport quickly by finding something in common during that tour. He looks for pictures and so forth. His iPad presentation is using with great success. The script there is no cost to you if we don't sell your home when they start to ask about the commission rate. How to use your competitor's website to sell your listings. That was actually pretty cool too. Why you don't need an overprice. Why you don't need to overprice to include negotiation room, because some seller says I got to price it up high, so I have some room to negotiate. And the step away technique, which I really love, to handle the I want to think about it close. All right, so that's all in Wayne's presentation. You can see his entire presentation as a download, as well as download his audio. We've got Denny Grimes. There are no bad properties, just bad property owners. Now, Denny Grimes is down in Florida, in Myers, Florida, and he's been an agent for 30 years. And Denny sold 120 homes worth $30 million in his best year. And in this session, he's going to talk about the big picture concepts and philosophies to listing a lot of homes. Why the first 3 minutes of the initial call is so critical to success, and what you should be doing during that time frame when you first get on the phone with that seller. Why the property is irrelevant and the seller motivation is all important. And there are no bad properties. You can sell anything at the right price. You just need to get the right owner. Okay, and starting the appointment with the 3 possible outcome scripts. He shows you how to do that, and explaining the market with the absorption rate so that they price correctly, and why price is everything. You notice he hammers on price. So you got that, his video there. You can download his entire video as well as his presentation. And I guess I went a little too far. So I'll just let the cat out of the bag here. I had a surprise extra 15th session where we had Josh Anderson come in, and he talked about his handshake agreements with electronic documents to be signed in a few days. This is becoming very common with the top agents that I talk to. Josh is out there in Nashville, Tennessee. He's been an agent for 10 years, sold 239 homes worth $81 million in his best year. And in this session, Josh is going to talk about digging deep into motivation and timeline during the initial call, establishing rapport during the grand tour, asking the seller how they'd like to proceed, selling the seller on your systems, not the list price, only giving a price range after you get hired. So he starts with a price range, and he only gives the actual price after he gets hired, and tying down with an appointment for a photographer so that he can move on to the next step. He doesn't even get a signature. He just ties down with the appointment. Why you must ask for the business every time you go through. He gives a great story how he learned that, and making handshake agreements at the end with the electronic signatures to be signed a few days later, which is working great for him to speed up the end of his process. Okay, so Josh's video is right there. He goes through all of that. He also has all these handouts. You can see his seller information sheet, his total market overview, which includes absorption rates and is super strong, his market analysis, and CMA. I guess I'm going into all the good bonuses here. If you decide to join us today, you get some fast action bonuses. And this first one is, for me, it's my presentation that I actually used to take 21 listings in 30 days and how to get them priced to sell. People kept asking me how to do this, so I went ahead and wrote it out. Excuse me, I went ahead and presented it. And remember, this was in 21 different sellers' kitchen tables. It shows the pyramid of buyers, which I think is pretty unique. I haven't seen that elsewhere. Risk of pricing too high, my chart and graph that I used on that, which I think was extremely successful, and the price bracket strategy, which I haven't seen anyone else use. And this is how I was able to get sellers to narrow in on the right price to list their home right at the beginning. Also have my 3-column net sheet, which a few other agents are using something similar, but this is a great way to show them what's going on with net. Any one of the 3 that they pick, you win. So it's pretty awesome. So you can go ahead and model any of those ideas that I present in that video. It's a pretty long training. I tried to go into all the details of how it worked. You also get my seller lead sheet, my buyer lead sheet, my listing presentation that you can download, net sheet with the 3 prices you can download, and the price bracket strategy example that I use in the training. You can download it and take a closer look. Okay, the next one, we have a couple bonuses here that if you take action today, you're going to get. We have a customizable seller lead sheet template. It's a template you can take and modify and make it your own. This is how you can determine that seller motivation and timing. You can set listing appointments like the top agents. It's pretty awesome. In fact, what I did was I went in and looked at what the top agents were doing, and I just modeled what they had, and I created a template that you can use for your seller lead sheet, that first initial call, to make sure you're talking to everybody and asking the right questions. And this is in a Word document. You can also print it out in a PDF. This is a little training behind it so you get everything correct. And as you can see, it's a Word document. You can see there's a PDF. You can also get an audio of the training. And then finally, this incredible fast action bonus number 3, which is a customizable listing presentation. I think this is probably worth the cost of the whole thing as well. What I did was I created the template, a 39-page template with modeled off of the 14, now 15 top agents. And I basically took what they were doing and modeled it and created a listing presentation document that anybody can use. And I did it in 2 places. I did it in Word and I did it in PowerPoint. So if you like to present it in paper or email it out, you can do it that way. If you like to do it in PowerPoint, it's there. All you have to do is enter your name, your phone number, your address, your email address, your picture, and then decide which of the items inside you want to keep or change. Like maybe you have something very unique, you can add it, or probably everything is already in there. You can just run with it. It's all there. You don't have to build this thing out. Remember when I got mine, X number of years ago, from the top agent, I had to actually create it. This is already created. The template is right there for you. Pretty awesome stuff. Okay, so there's a little training on it, and here's how you can download the template in Word. You can download it in PowerPoint. You can see that in a PDF, the version that was Word and PowerPoint, and you can also get the training audio, and that is it. We got through the entire thing. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I hope that you saw how awesome this course is. I'm really excited for it. I know the amazing things that it can do for you. What I'd like to do now, if you just hang with me for a few more minutes, I just want to go back and wrap this up, and we'll get into some Q&A here. You can see a blank screen for a second while I do that. And, oh, there it is, I think. And there we go. Okay, so we're back into the main presentation. Well, I guess I should answer this question. I'm sure you may be asking, how much will the summit cost me? What is the cost of the summit? Well, let's go through that. 18 years ago, I wanted to see the inside of the listing presentation of one of the top agents in the nation who was listing and selling 200 homes per year. I wanted to be just like him. I just wanted to be just like him and get those same results. So after 1 year of procrastinating, which I regret, but after a year, I finally broke down and I got his 1 hour videotape for $500. Now, I got to see his materials, listen to how he presented, and understand his philosophy. And the question is, well, was it worth it? Absolutely. I watched the video. I made it my own. I practiced. I went out and I started taking listings, lots and lots of listings. Here were some of the results. I quickly got up to listing 5 to 10 homes per month once I put his ideas in place. And in my best month, I listed 21 homes in 30 days. I got to tell you, that was super exciting. And I want that excitement to be there for you. Again, all you have to do is model these top people. I just modeled the top agent and it worked, right? And by the way, I just had this video. I didn't have all these downloads or templates, but it worked. I made my investment back with my first listing. When my first listing closed, I made back enough money to pay off that investment and actually have profit left over. And then I made literally thousands of times my investment over the next few years, literally thousands of times the investment. It was amazing how much revenue started coming in after I figured out what they were doing. I would never trade that experience ever. I only wish I would have done it sooner and not procrastinated. If I just would have got it that year earlier, I would have been that much further ahead. So I believe that this whole system is duplicatable. And so again, eventually I went out and I hired a listing agent, and this fella only had 6 months in the business. I just love this story, right? He only had 6 months in the business, had only sold 2 buyers, had never listed the property before. And by his second month, he was listing my reject leads. And on his third month, he listed 14 homes in 30 days. It was phenomenal. These concepts are transferable. They are duplicatable. Anyone can learn how to do them if you just model the top agents. And that's the key to success, is model those top agents, see what they're doing and do what they do. And quickly that will become your model. Okay. So again, I just modeled that top agent, and then my listing agent modeled me, and we were both super successful with listings. So what is the value of this thing? This is so hard for me to put a value on it. Well, that 1 hour VCR videotape that I purchased and got in the mail 2 weeks later cost me $500 way back then. I think it was 18 years ago. And, in that time, houses have doubled, and so would the price, right? So the price today, if I would buy the same tape, would be $1,000 for that one tape that did not include any handouts. It did not include any templates, but it gave me all those great ideas. Well, this summit, there are 14 top agents demonstrating their exact listing presentation and sharing their handouts. So based on that, the video recording should cost $14,000, which I know is a crazy high number, but that's what the value should be. And I think it'd be worth it. I think if you invested $14,000, you'd actually get your money back relatively quickly. What is that? 3 or 4 closings, you'd have it all back. And paid for, and everything after that would be pure profit. But I know that's a crazy high number. So you don't have to pay $14,000. I know that would be incredibly difficult and challenging. You don't even have to pay $10,000, which would probably be a fair and reasonable number. Not even $5,000, even though, again, I think that would probably be right in the ballpark. Now, again, what I think I should have done, and what a lot of people told me I should do, is charge $2,000 for this training, because you're going to get that money back so quickly with your first closing. But I'm not going to do that either. So what I'm going to do is, you can get the entire summit recordings, including all those downloads and all those examples, for only one payment of $997 today. Just one payment of $997 today, and you get the entire thing. And yes, you do get the whole thing right now. By the way, it's not going to be dripped out to you over the next 30 days where you get one piece a day for 30 days. None of that. You get the access to the entire thing immediately after you purchase. Plus, I mentioned earlier, I got those 3 fast action bonuses, and I call these student-driven bonuses because they were all designed at the request of the summit students to make the training even more easy and simple, just like Einstein recommended. So again, you got the fast action bonus number 1. That's the seller lead sheet template. So you can get going really fast. It's what the template looks like. And you can then use color paper, whatever you like, but it's modeled on the top agent systems. And I created it in a simple Word document so you can easily modify it, make it your own, or just use it right out of the box. It's already super strong. You can quickly determine the seller motivation and timing with this form, and quickly set up appointments with those best leads. And we got fast action bonus number 2, which is the listing presentation template. This thing is gold. This thing could be sold on its own for probably as much, if not more, than the cost of the summit. But basically what we did was I went in and I modeled those 14 top agents and found their common elements that they all had in their presentations. And I put together this 39-page fill-in-the-blank template in both Word and PowerPoint. All you got to do is put in your name, your photo, your address, your email address, your phone number, and a couple little pieces of information, and you are ready to rock. Okay. And you could start listing like the pros in less than 24 hours. You can get up and running very, very fast. And then number three, my listing presentation that I personally used to list 21 homes in 30 days. People have asked me to put this out, so I went ahead and did. I went ahead and made the presentation for you. I demonstrate my exact listing presentation, plus I describe exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it in a certain way. I believe I could take this presentation today, modify it with a couple quick things to update it for today, and it would be ready to rock. You can download this entire presentation as well as watch the video and see how I do it. You can see my marketing plan, my price bracket strategy, which I don't think anyone else is using, but it's how I got sellers to narrow in on the right price and how I closed for listing at my full commission rate. Now, if you take me up on this and you invest in the summit, you're going to have my personal 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not happy for any reason, just shoot me an email and I'll refund your money right away. I don't ask any questions. I just refund it. Now, I do that because I know, I'm confident that you are going to profit so huge by this summit, by this information that you're going to learn from these 14 top agents, that it's so worth it to you that this is not even going to be an issue. But if this is what it takes to get you over the hump, it's there, you're protected, it's risk-free for you. So to recap, it all starts with you taking action today. My biggest regret was waiting 1 year before I bought that videotape of the top agent demonstrating his listing presentation because I didn't want to invest the money at the time. It was a big mistake. You know, after I did, everything turned around quickly. I mean, I doubled my production the next year. I quickly started listing 5 to 10 homes per month, and I even got up to 21 listings in 30 days. Just imagine how awesome that would feel. It was amazing. Then I turned around and I trained my new listing agent who had only closed 2 buyers before. In 6 months of having a license, hadn't done any listings. I got him quickly up and running, and within this 3rd month of working with us, have 14 listings in 30 days. And a lot of those were the reject seller leads, and they were still converting. I mean, it was amazing. So I just want you to know that this information is transferable. Yeah, the top agent, I modeled the top agent, then my listing agent modeled me. My students are now modeling me and the other top agents. It's amazing if you just model. So it's easy. You can do it. Just model the top agents. Again, here's what you get if you decide to invest. You get videos, you get 14 training videos of the top agents demonstrating exactly their listing presentation in detail. You get downloads of dozens of downloadable handouts that you can see their entire system right there. You get their seller lead sheets and appointment setting scripts, their pre-listing packages, listing presentations with full marketing plans, pricing charts and graphs, forms and checklists, and seller handouts right there that you can download, immediately start working. You get bonus number 1, the seller lead sheet template in Word. Bonus number 2, the listing presentation template, that 39-page template in Word and PowerPoint. You get the bonus number 3, my listing presentation that I personally used to list 21 homes in 30 days. And you get lifetime access and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So here's what to do now. There's a big red button under the screen somewhere on that page that's going to look like this. I want the Listing Agent Summit recordings. Go ahead and click that button. What's going to happen next is you're going to be taken to this page, and you're going to just go ahead and start entering your information so that you can acquire this. And then when you get to the bottom, click that green order button at the bottom of the form. And when you do, it's going to go ahead and process that for you, and you're going to be taken here. You're going to be taken to the login page for the Listing Agent Summit. It's a protected page, so you got to get a password, and that password is going to come to you within 15 minutes. When it does, it's going to come by email. You take that password, you enter it here, and when you do, that's your special password. You're going to be able to get into the summit and see everything immediately. So within 15 minutes, you're going to have full access to the entire summit. All the videos, all the downloadable documents, all the extra bonuses, everything will be there. All right, so you're going to be taken inside. You get that full access with everything inside. You also, those fast action bonuses are already, as you just saw, they're already preloaded for you, so they're not going to be coming separately. It all starts with taking action today. Again, you can do this slowly using trial and error and taking some of what I shared with you today. And by the way, you'll get there. It just may take you a long time. And then you can also, if you choose to, you can do it quickly. You can just model the top agents, the 14 top agents inside the Listing Agent Summit recordings, and plus those 3 fast action bonuses. Just take that information and get yourself up and running fast. Get that presentation down. And remember, then you're going to become a magnet for those sellers. You know exactly what to do when you get in front of them. So here's what to do now. Click that red button on this page at the bottom of the page, should be underneath the video or somewhere on the page. And once you do, you'll get immediate access. Once you follow all that through, you're going to get immediate access to the Listing Agent Summit recordings. And inside, you got the 14 videos of the top agents demonstrating their listing presentations, downloads of dozens of samples of documents and handouts, fast action bonus number 1, seller lead sheet template that's in Word. You got fast action bonus number 2, the listing presentation template in Word and PowerPoint, so you can do a slideshow if you choose to. And fast action bonus number 3, my personal listing presentation that I used to list 21 homes in 30 days. And you get lifetime access and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So I hope you're going to join us inside the summit. I hope you're going to click that big red button and walk through and meet us over on the other side inside the summit and all that great information. What I'd like to do now, and boy, this took way longer than I thought it would, and I do apologize, but I'd like to answer any Q&A for anybody who's still left here with me. We started off with a huge group. I'm not sure how many people are left. I hope you're here. If you are, thank you so much for hanging with me, and I hope this has been beneficial. But if you got some questions, go ahead and type them into that orange box on your screen. Again, if you joined us late, here's what you got to do. You got to go in and type your questions into that screen at the bottom, over there on the left, number 1. You type your question in there, and then when you press enter on the right there, a screen's going to pop up, and under number 2, type in your name and press go, and that'll put you into the chat with your question. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to leave this up while we're doing the Q&A, and I'm going to go down and hope that I can see the questions. Okay, so boom. Let's see. Someone said this is draining. Yeah, I apologize. I did go on for quite a while. Maybe he'll throw in the perfect pillow too. That's pretty funny. Well, let's see if I can get some questions going. I'm going to go back up to the top here. And FYI, if you select the YouTube icon on the bottom, it takes you to watch. Ah, okay, very good. That's nice. Lost audio. Oh boy. Well, I hope that didn't happen. I think we got audio. Okay. And let's see, how to take 5 listings per month, working only 20 hours per week. Okay. So that was a question I had. Let's walk through that. It really comes down to the systems. Keep in mind that you can list. I took 21 listings in 1 month, right? And that was working full time. So if you took half time, I guess I could do 10, which is more than 5. It comes down to the system. If you get good at that listing presentation, your reticulator activator is going to kick in, and you're going to figure out how to take those listings. Those sellers are going to start to be drawn to you, and you're going to start creating your system for how to make this flow. You have the system on the listing presentation, and what happens after they list with you, your mind says, hey, I want to go out and find those people, and you're going to start creating a system to make that happen. Okay, so what if they don't qualify? Well, this is simple. If they don't qualify, you don't go. So somebody calls up, you call up and you're talking to the seller and they aren't qualified. They're not motivated. They don't have a place to go. They don't have a time to be there. Something doesn't sound right. You just say, oh, thank you so much, and get in the conversation. If you had promised to send them a CMA or give them a CMA, mail it out. Just send them out a simple CMA. If they were calling about taxes or insurance or something that has nothing to do with sales, just end that as quickly as you can. You know, it's okay. Your time is too valuable to be wasting it with someone who's not going to end up listing with you, or at least have a high probability of that happening. Okay, next. Will you also help us attract sellers? Well, as I mentioned, sellers is a whole other ballgame. We have other products for that, by the way. I hope if you have invested in the, for instance, the Agent Lead Generation Summit, that gives you a bajillion ways to bring sellers into your system. But if you don't have the confidence from knowing that you have a listing presentation, you're going to kind of sabotage all those leads coming in. I know that sounds backwards, but I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. It doesn't matter how many listing presentations you go on. If you don't have a presentation to present, first of all, you're not going to set the appointment. Secondly, when you do, you're going to do terribly when you get there, which then again is going to lead to that downward spiral where you're not going to want to get any more listing appointments. So the key is to get this listing presentation down. And then there are a bajillion ways to get the sellers to come meet you, and you're going to become a magnet for them. And again, if you want to see some of the things that we do, we've got Mo's, the Mega Open House System. If you're using that, that's a great way to find sellers. And then also the Agent Lead Generation Summit recordings. If you've got a copy of those, you're going to love it, because that is how you can attract people to you. Okay, what else do we have here? Yeah, you mentioned your value and the seller's value. I think we chatted a little bit about that. Boy, you had a lot of questions here. Good. So is the net sheet pre-done? Yes. Yep, I have my net sheet pre-done, all completely filled out. All of the, yep, everybody that I saw on the summit, all of the top agents on the summit already had their net sheet pre-filled out. You have your in fact, you have your CMA pre-filled out. You have your net sheet pre-filled out. You have your listing agreement completely pre-filled out. All you're looking for is a signature. If there's anything wrong in there as you're moving through, just scribble through it while you're there and correct it. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Do you have an option? Oh, do we have a payment option plan? And I'm sorry, William, we don't. We don't have any payment option plans. I know that sounds terrible, but I really only want serious people into the summit. Right now, we have an amazing group of people in the summit so far. They're all incredibly serious about what they're doing, and they're taking this information and taking action. I know that sounds silly, but it just is. When you make a big commitment, you get big results. I told you I had a problem with that. It took me a year to make that big investment, and then all of a sudden I got big results. I want to give you that same gift. I know that sounds weird, but that's just the way I feel. All right. Mike, where can we download some of these? I don't see them under my login. Oh, well, that's interesting. I'm not sure where you're logging in. If you go into the summit, as we just walked through, you can see everything. So if you're having any problems with that, send me an email and I'll help make sure that you get logged in. How are they finding the sellers? Yep, we just talked about that, Bonnie. And let's see, I'm assuming they might have major... I'm sorry, I'm just trying to go through all your questions here. I hope I'm getting them answered. Assuming they might have a major marketing budget to generate that many listing leads, 100 to 200, the average agent, maybe 25, so $50 a year. How are they? Okay, so again, I understand that you guys are concerned about bringing these seller leads in. And I get that. I absolutely get that. And I spent years trying to do that, and I didn't realize why it wasn't working. And the reason it wasn't working was I didn't have the second step in place where I was super confident about my listing presentation. Once I got my presentation in place, then all the ideas I heard about seller lead generation made sense and started clicking for me because I knew where those people were going to go. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but I was sabotaging myself, and I assume many of you are doing the same. If you get that presentation down, your subconscious mind is going to want to find how to get those sellers in, and you're going to figure that out. I gave you a couple of tools that we have. There are many tools out there. Believe me, it all starts clicking once you get the back end in place. It's out of sequence, I realize, but once you get the back end in place, the seller leads come in. So I hope that helps. And yes, by the way, all the top agents do have a system for generating their leads. They absolutely do. Check out our product, the Agent Lead Generation Summit, where they go through, I'm trying to remember, 17 different ways to generate leads, and in detail. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Just find the one that's comfortable with you. But I'm telling you, they're all going to fail, or at least not work as well as they should, if you don't have the back end set up for where you want to take them. You're just not going to have a good conversation with them on the front end. You're going to be scared of where you're going to take them, and it's not going to work. Okay. Let's see. So all the downloads look like PDFs. Are there any editable formats? So I think I explained that. All of the top agent stuff, those were all in PDF if they were downloads. So you can look at them. And then I created those special bonuses for you that are editable. You're going to eat them? Edible? No, editable. So you can modify them. All right, let's see. Are any of the brochures or presentations in PowerPoint or Word format so that I can, oh, so I think I just mentioned that. Okay. Not to be rude, but to please move on. And I'm sorry, I don't know where that came in. And I know I talked a lot and I do apologize. Yep, get it. Yeah, I did. We did go way longer than expected, and I apologize. But if you have questions, I want to try to answer them. If you're still with us, let's see. Please answer some of the questions. Boy, somebody was really active here. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm going to go down to the bottom because I think I was missing some stuff. Let's see. How do we get your seller intake form? Okay. Yeah. So it's right in the summit. Once you go in, all the way down to the bottom, oh, I see what you're saying. Good point. Yeah. So the seller intake form, I'm going to give you that in just a second. Just hang on for a couple more minutes. I'm going to tell you how you can get that. Let's see. I'm serious. Just don't have the money, low inventory. I need listings. I get it, William. Yep. It's one of those things you got to do. You did it when you got in the business, right? You invested X amount of money to get your license and so forth, not knowing whether you're going to make the money. And I get it. I understand. It's one of those weird things. Just telling you, when you make the investment, you make the commitment, it all falls into place. I hope okay. Well, I don't know. I think I might have lost most of you. I'm not seeing any other questions pop up, or my system's not working. So let's do this. Let's go on to how you can get the download. And if you have any more questions, please put them in there. And I'm hoping I'm seeing everybody's questions. In fact, I'm going to hit a quick refresh on that. I'm using some of this newer technology and I don't see it. So let's do this. Let's go in for how you can get the free surprise offered you if you stay to the end. And thank you so much for staying. I had no idea this was going to go this long. I hadn't done this presentation before. I'll have to shorten it up. Anyway, here you got the copy of my seller lead sheet. It's the seller intake form that I use to find seller motivation and timing and set the appointment when I listed 21 homes in 30 days. Pretty awesome little form. And I will be sending that out to you by email. I had a link, but instead of doing that, I'm just going to send it to you by email. I'll get that done as soon as I get off the call here so that you can get that. And there you go. You'll have that. I hope that helps. Hey, how you doing? I see that there's some folks still here. That's cool. And if you got any questions about anything we rolled through, please let me know. Happy to answer your questions at this time. Excited to get you all up and running on getting more listings by getting that listing presentation nailed down. Okay. Any more questions? And by the way, I know there's a delay in time, so I'll just wait with you all here just for a few more minutes. Hey, Renee, I'll wait with you just here a few more minutes. Looks like Mike's still here. If you have any other questions, William, if you have any other questions, let me know. I want to get them answered for you while we're here and why we're here live. And before my voice gives out. All right, here we go. We got one. This was very interesting. I'm part of the Tom Ferry coaching. Great. Tom is a great guy. So I already paid X for all of these things. But to the guy who said he doesn't have the dollars, it's well worth it. You'll make it up with your systems, which I am assuming is like Tom's, Mike's. Very good. Very good. Do you need, oh, no, thank you for asking about, I'm sorry, you don't have to enter your email addresses. I know my system has been tracking who is still here, and I will be sending out that email to you, send it out to you by email here in just a few minutes. And thank you so much for giving that to me. Appreciate that. And by the way, you're all mentioning some fantastic trainers. All these people are phenomenal. My best method is just to look at what the top agents are doing in the market and present that to you and show you what's coming right out of the horse's mouth so that you can get up and running as fast as possible. Okay. All right, very good. Well, it looks like we're going to wrap this up now. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And again, I apologize for how long we were here, but you guys are champs to hang out to the end. And I hope it was beneficial and you're using some of these great ideas. So we'll see you around. We'll be doing another training at some point. I don't know if it'll be on this topic. We'll see what kind of feedback we get. But again, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you wrote down a lot of great notes. Get out there and start taking more listings. You've got this. You've got this under control. Keep moving forward. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.